This episode of The Gaming Outsider is brought to you by eWin Racing, the home of the best heavy-duty gaming chairs. I can tell you from personal experience that I've never sat in a more comfortable chair at my desk. eWin Racing has chairs for gamers of all sizes, too. As a Gaming Outsider listener, you can get 20% off your purchase using our promo code TGO at ewinracing.com. eWin Racing, the best gaming chairs out there.
Hey everybody, this is Kay Bess, and I play Anna in Lara Croft: Rise of the Tomb Raider. You're listening to The Gaming Outsider.
G'day, mates. It feels so incredibly good to be back on the show this week with Zack and Alyssa. We're talking about narrative twists in games, but don't worry, we'll try to be as spoiler-free as possible. In news, Modern Warfare 3 was officially announced, and the Xbox 360 online store has a verified end date. We have a whole lot of new games we played this week as well. Zack checked out a Western roguelike called Dust to Neon. I finally got my hands on Baldur's Gate 3, and I played a retro platformer called Super Catboy. Finally, Alyssa played a charming-looking game called Ashina, the Red Witch. Will somebody slow her down, please? This is The Gaming Outsider. Good day, programs, and welcome to The Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast with a focus on our incredible community, which can be found at thegamingoutsider.com. It is Sunday, August 20th. I'm your host, Scott Clark, and joining me, finally, for the first time, at least for me, in a good 2 or 3 weeks, Zack Parkerson. How's it going, man?
G'day, mate.
Good. I'm back from Australia. I'm very excited.
We're thankful to have you back. Yeah, it's been I feel like it's been like a month, 3 weeks to a month.
It's been a month since I've been on the mic with you. I've been on the mic, without you. But it's been a month. And I am so excited to be back here. I got some more to tell you in just a second, but I want to introduce our other host. As always, the lovely Alyssa White is here. How are you doing, Alyssa?
I'm doing great, and I am loving seeing this bromance happening right now. The reunion.
Well, you remember, he's the one of the three of you that I would marry.
I know.
So, right. We had that conversation a few weeks ago. Just a heads up, everybody. If I sound a little different, I apologize. I'm actually not at home. I am in Pensacola, Florida. Unfortunately, I had to come down here for a family emergency. My stepdad is in the hospital, so I brought my equipment down here. I'm recording in a hotel room, so I do not have the same setup, the same acoustics. If I sound a little bit different, I apologize. But Alyssa told me in our test recording that I sounded pretty good, so we'll see how it goes.
Right, as long as she's not a liar.
Right.
Well, I'm also not very audio technically inclined, so if it doesn't sound good, that's because I'm not very proficient in this area.
Well, you're on my short list of people that I know. I say, hey, can you do me a quick favor? You'll be like, yeah, sure. So
of course, because you're one of my favorite people. So,
Aw.
Zack is as well. So,
well, thank you.
And speaking of favorite people, I got to give another shout out to Jacob. I know that you guys did it last week, but Jacob Gunderson from our community, actually from our team, has been volunteering down at the Lyring Club for R2V2. The man has been building boxes to cover radiators. He's been painting. He has just been kicking ass and taking names, and I really appreciate it because it's just volunteer work. He's not getting paid for it. He's just believes in what we're doing and very excited about R2V2, which, by the way, again, is October 14th, Saturday. We're looking very forward to it. I know Zack is going to be there. Alyssa, still on the fence? Going to be there? Going to not be there?
I should.
All right.
She's got a whole ride arranged, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just got to find a place to stay.
It's going to be awesome. It's going to be so great. I cannot wait. I'm getting nervous because we're down to 2 months, and I feel like there's so much to be done. And I've got some other surprises potentially happen that I can't talk about yet because I don't know if it's going to happen, but it's going to be a very awesome day, and I can't wait. I'm kind of wondering what it's going to be like once R2V2 is done, like what I'm going to do with all this time. Probably teach. Maybe I'll teach 4th graders because I'll be back in school there.
Yeah, they can teach themselves these days. They don't need you.
Yeah. Anyway, I want to talk about some of the games that I've been catching up on and hear what you guys have been catching up on. If you remember, I talked last time I recorded with you guys, I was playing Ember Knights on Switch.
Mm-hmm.
I actually beat that this week, and it is awesome. That is my dark horse game of the year that I was not expecting or hadn't even heard of. It just kind of crept up on me. It is a Scott Clark game and then some. It's really great. It reminds me so much. I think I talked to you guys about it, right, Zack? I talked to you about it, or no?
Somewhat, yeah. Sounds familiar.
It reminds me so much of Hades, but I know the draw for you in Hades was the story, and the story is pretty much non-existent.
Right.
Remember,
which is the roguelike standard.
Yeah. This one is very much, hey, there's a bad guy. You need to get through these dungeons and kill him. That's like pretty much it. But the game does something interesting at the end where once you beat the final boss, he's not dead. He like escapes through a portal and you have to kind of keep chasing him again. But it's just basically doing more runs and you add these modifiers to your runs that make it harder. You can do up to like 15 of them or something and just like either make the enemies have more HP or make them faster or make the damage you do a lot less. But I don't really understand exactly what you're supposed to do. Like, do these earn you more points to be able to get to? I don't know. I talked to you guys a little bit about it via text, and you guys said that I was good to write the review because I quote unquote beat it. I did a run.
Right, you beat it, yeah.
But,
it was a great review, by the way.
Well, thank you. It is on our website,
It sounds like when you beat Hades, you get a little ending and credits roll, but then you can keep beating it and there's more story. But I would still think, you still beat it if you defeat Hades the first time. Right.
So there's got to be, but who knows? Is there like a final form of this boss or something like that?
Right.
The one thing that, and I don't remember how Hades does this, I wish that they had more bosses or more boss types that they recycle through. There's some roguelites like Binding of Isaac. When you get to a boss, you get a randomized boss, and you don't know which boss you're going to fight till you get there. This one actually has the same boss at the end of each level, which I can't decide if I like or if I prefer the randomization of it. But
that is how Hades did it, yeah.
It did the same one?
Right.
Okay.
So
they
order.
were clearly following a model.
Yeah, it sounds like, they're inspired.
But so that game is great. I really, really like that game. Also played a little Diablo 4. I played online with Jacob and his wife and Joel Selinsky. Didn't play for terribly long, but I am finally in Act 3, which I know people that beat it the weekend it came out are like, scrub. But I'm just kind of going through. I don't like to play that game by myself.
Yeah,
and,
you're further along than I am.
Yeah, it's and what's weird is like I'm saying I want to play for the story, but then I don't feel like I'm super invested in the story. I just want to see the cool cinematics and see what they do. But
right, you want your cutscene reward.
Exactly.
They're gorgeous cutscenes.
They are. They're really, really solid. And then I decided to play something for myself as well.
Good for you.
You guys know I am a massive Legend of Zelda fan, but I have a dark mark in my history of playing Zelda games in that I've never played the Oracle games on Game Boy Advance. So they're available on Nintendo Switch Online, so I decided to dive into one. I asked the community which one I should go with, and most said it really doesn't matter. Some had an opinion that you should play this one first. And I didn't know this. Have you played these, Zach? Have you played the Oracle ones?
Yeah, my recommendation would be if you like puzzles, play Ages, and if you like the combat, play Seasons.
Okay. I was told that one was puzzle-based, one was combat-based. And this one, I'm playing Oracle of Ages, which definitely feels puzzle-based. But I don't feel like it's breaking my brain like I was expecting it to. It is shockingly similar to Link's Awakening. I feel like it's the exact same engine. Everything even the music and some of the character models are like exactly from Link's Awakening.
Yeah, but, I remember when I was a kid, it didn't feel like Nintendo didn't make it.
Right.
You can't tell it's Capcom.
Right. And I don't know. There's a really fun mechanic with the time travel where because it's Oracle of Ages, so you can kind of travel back to the past or forward to the future. Which, has been done in games before, but there's a really cool use of it in that you come across this guy who is an inventor, and he says he's working on inventing an item that you need to use in the future, or that you need to use in the past, rather, but he hasn't invented it yet. I think it's something like, is it the flippers? Or rope that doesn't rot in water? It's like a weirdly specific thing that you need in order to progress in the game, but he hasn't invented it yet. So the way that you get it is you go into the future where he has invented it and collect it because he's long dead by now, but he's hidden the item that you needs in a secret place that he has left clues for you to find. I just thought that was a cool concept to use time travel that way. Like this guy's going to make it, but he hasn't made it yet. And so you're going to travel to the future to go collect it. I thought that was just kind of cool.
Right. Well, and the game probably leaves it to you to figure that out, right? It's like, I haven't invented it yet. Games today would be like, Link would be like, all right, man, I better get to the future to find this guy's hidden item. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just very, very cool. And you have to, go to, because you can't just like press a button and travel to the future right where you are. You have to go find the correct portal and then make your way back to the same point in the map where it was. I just kind of thought that was really cool. So
Seasons works the same way, where you have to go to like these tree stumps, I think, and then shake a wand to change the season.
Right, so that it grows, or so it has leaves on it or something.
Right, you go to winter, you can get through the forest because there's no leaves on the trees, stuff like that.
Yeah, it feels it reminds me a little bit of Link to the Past, where you've got like the dark world and the light world.
Yeah.
But instead of it being light and dark, it's old and present. I don't know. It's just a very clever game.
There's some kind of, they talk to each other in some way, right? Or is that a cancel?
They do, but and I don't know how that works. It's something where like to get like the true ending, you have to beat both games and then link them together.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Link them together.
And there was originally supposed to be a third game, but that got canceled.
The question is, am I going to be able to do that with Nintendo Switch Online? Because it's not like I have a link cable. I don't even know how it worked on the original Game Boy Advance.
Yeah, I was gonna say most game companies would find a way to have them link, but this is Nintendo, and they're pretty proud of their minimum effort ports.
Yeah. So I mean, what I'll probably do is beat both of them and then just like look up the ending of whatever it is, or is it like you can use an item in one game in the next game or something like that?
No, I want to say it actually gives you like a password that you put into the other game, so you should be fine.
Oh, if it's that simple, then great. I always thought it was a link cable thing for some reason.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I feel like it was a password. Maybe you could link cable it and it was easier because then you wouldn't have to remember a password. I don't know, but I'm having like a vague memory of putting in a password to get the true ending.
Okay, well, hopefully that's the case because it'll make it pretty easy. Alyssa, I know you haven't played these games, but I got to ask you every week. You played Ocarina of Time yet?
No, because I don't have the Nintendo Switch Online. What's the extra one called?
The family plan. Oh, the expansion pass.
Yeah, I don't have access to it. So,
do we have any extra spots left, Zach, or did we fill all 8 of them?
I don't
remember.
We have all 8 filled currently, I think.
Oh, well, it comes up in November.
Yeah.
If anybody drops, we can get you in there.
I mean, I'd happily take their space, but I don't want to like forcibly remove anyone. So
hey, you take precedence.
Yeah, we'll fire somebody so we can hire you.
I'm not more important than anyone else.
Oh, well, that's debatable, but
yeah, we disagree there.
We'll
get there. So that's what I've been catching up on. Zach, how about you?
Well, I watched a interesting video documentary the other day about the Grand Theft Auto series, and they talked about Grand Theft Auto 4 in quite a bit of depth, and I was like, damn, that was a pretty good game. Mm-hmm. So I booted it up just to check it out, to be reminded of all the cousins Bellic and Nico and stuff, and then I played like 5 or 6 hours of it. It's very good.
Wow.
It's exceptional. Dude, it's so good.
That's another dark mark on my history, by the way.
Yeah, I haven't played that one either, and I feel so ashamed.
Guys, it's the best one.
I've heard that. My problem was I had never played 3, and I picked up 4 just because everyone was talking about it. I wanted to see what it was about, and I didn't understand that there were all this side stuff to do. I just thought that was the game, and I'm like, this is really boring. All I'm doing is taking a girl out on a date to go bowling. I thought this is like, about crime and shooting people.
The crime comes later. Yeah, it's GTA 4 is a slow build up to the crime because Nico is escaping his violent past, so he doesn't want to get back into the dirty deeds. But
done dirt cheap.
Because you don't really make a lot of money in this game. So you're right, done dirt cheap.
Yeah.
But when he thinks
you're saying I should give that one another shot, is what you're saying.
I think it's great. I'm sure it'd be fine on that, or I'm sure it'd be great on Xbox backwards compatibility. But I'm playing it on PS3.
Okay.
But I'm sure it looks great there. I'm sure Rockstar will do a bare bones port in the coming year or so.
Gotcha.
And charge you $60 for the privilege. But it's so good. It has all these little attention to details, like when you go to buy clothes for your character, you have to go pick them up off the rack.
That's interesting.
Cool.
Yeah,
I need to find a copy of this.
It's very good, and it has a Euphoria engine. I don't know if you guys remember that, in like the Force Unleashed, where the character, like the video game's AI, creates animations on the spot. So like when you get hit by a car, it never looks the same way twice. So
that's awesome.
It's super cool, and it's stuff that they took out for 5 and Red Dead 2. They kind of like toned it down, but anyway. I'm loving it. I am struggling to remember, like, oh yeah, I should probably be playing new games as well. But I'm trying to play a game for me here. But didn't realize how much time had passed, because I also think the driving is best in this game, because try to replicate real world physics in an interesting way. Like the weight of your car affects your ability to turn and stuff like that. Like there's no it does not a lot of arcadiness to it. And if it's raining, you'll hydroplane if you try to drift.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, a lot of cool little details in the.
I heard the DLC is supposed to be really good for that too, isn't it? Like Gay Tony or something.
Yeah, the Ballad of Gay Tony.
The Lost and the Damned and the Ballad of Gay Tony are the 2 DLCs. Yeah, the Lost and the Damned is a cool little biker story, and I like that one because it's just so small stakes. It's just like 6 hours of you and the biker captain kind of fighting for power. I just always liked that it was just, I don't know, so much real life story in terms of scale.
Right.
But then Ballad of Gay Tony, yeah, you're like base jumping to like go into penthouse suites. It's supposed to be the throwback to the old kind of wackier Grand Theft Auto, so you're doing all kinds of zany nonsense.
Nice.
And you can also dance with girls in the nightclub and then bang them in the bathroom. So if you're into that,
there you go.
Little hot coffee action.
Well, you said it's backwards compatible, so I can actually play that on my Series X if I have the disc.
Mm-hmm. You can. I mean, I think you can buy it digitally as well for $20, but
I'll have to look for a sale for that one. Like around Black Friday, I'll bet you it'll be like $5 somewhere, something like that.
I think there's a lot to love about it. Kind of wish Rockstar would kind of do another GTA in this more realistic, toned down style, but with the success of the rocket jetpacks and hovercrafts with GTA Online, I don't think we're ever getting that back.
Right. Well, I could also just get a physical copy too, because I do have a 360, and if that does work on my Xbox One, it's got to be like $5.
It can't be much, right? So millions of copies.
Right. And seriously, I do this whenever I travel. I went to a video game store yesterday here in Pensacola, and I got to tell you guys, the store that I found is the nicest freaking retro video game store I've ever seen. The prices were good. The place was shockingly organized. If you're in the Pensacola, Florida area, it is called Video Game Trading Post. The staff was super helpful. They were very patient with me. I could not find a copy of Gun on Xbox 360 though, but I did pick one up on original Xbox, and they were like super cool about it because they knew I was a collector, and there were 3 copies of the game on Xbox, original Xbox, but one had like the sleeve was messed up, one had the box messed up, and one had the disc messed up. So they literally swapped them all around for me so that I could have one copy that had a good disc sleeve.
Oh, that's super cool.
That is really awesome.
Yeah. They were just like super cool to work with, and I bought about 8 copies of Duke Nukem Forever in preparation for R2V2. I figured that people would want those because they're hard to come by in Rockford for some reason.
Did you tell them why you needed a bunch of copies of Duke Nukem?
I did. You should have seen the look the guy gave me when I brought up to the counter 8 copies of Duke Nukem Forever. He's just like, "Are you okay?" And I explained, "Yeah, we actually having John St. John, and we want to be able to get these to people to." I was really happy he didn't hear that and then say, "Well, they're actually $10 a piece instead of $5 a piece." Right. That was a pretty good move.
Yeah, dude, $5 a piece. Yeah, it's so rare these days to find a used game store with reasonable prices.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And he said that people complain about their prices all the time, and I thought they were actually really good. He said in some things that they had priced a little bit higher, people would be like, "Well, I can pay, I can pay $50 for a copy of Mario Kart on eBay, and you guys are selling it for $65." And I was like, "Yeah, but it's here."
Also, good. Also, honestly, good luck finding a copy of Mario Kart for $50 on eBay.
That's kind of what I thought too. I feel like
in today's retro market, there's no way.
Yeah.
Maybe they checked eBay 8 years ago.
Right. They did have some N64 copies of Duke Nukem games as well, but I didn't think that would have the same punch to have signed. Like, it's weird to sign a cartridge. I don't know.
I think it'd be cool.
You think so? Maybe I should go back and grab them.
Probably cooler.
And they had some box copies of games, but those are already like super expensive. So I was like, if a collector is willing to pay over $100 for a box copy of a Duke Nukem game, is someone going to be willing to pay that plus a signature?
Right.
You know what I mean? I felt weird about getting the expensive ones, but anyway, Alyssa, what have you been catching up on?
I decided to play Immortality because it's leaving Game Pass this month, and it's the only Sam Barlow game I haven't played to date, or hadn't played at that point. It's definitely, I think, the hardest one to get into, just because it's so vague. And it took me about an hour before things started to kind of even click. But
now, when you say Sam Barlow game, that's like the
her story and telling lies. Yeah.
Okay, that's when we're like searching through a database to find keywords to find other videos that unravel the puzzle, right?
Yeah, and if you look up the wrong word, you'll ruin the game for yourself. I'll tell you that.
Except this one does not involve words. You're actually, the story centers on this actress who was in 3 movies, but all 3 movies were never released, and she just disappeared. No one's seen her since. And you get access to these movies, but the clips are all out of order, so you watch the clips, and then you focus on a person or an object, and that takes you to another clip, and you watch that. So you're just clicking on things in the environment, trying to get more clips and unravel the story further.
That seems simpler, actually.
It is simpler. It's just it's a little more difficult story wise.
Oh, okay.
Because it's just so vague.
Really positive. I've heard super positive things about this one though. Like,
oh, I'm really enjoying it now.
Really liking it.
It just takes a little bit to get used to it because the game doesn't really tell you what to do at all. It's just like, hey, click on stuff in the backgrounds, go to the next clip. There you go. I will say it's the weirdest title I've played from him as well, but I don't want to say anything else.
Is this should I play this? I mean, how long is it going to be on Game Pass?
Until the 31st.
Okay, I'm not going to have time to play it before that. But
not going to happen.
Yeah.
Do you think Sam Barlow is most proud of Immortality, her story, or the Ghost Rider PS2 tie-in game for the Nicolas Cage movie?
The game everybody was asking for.
The little God of War knockoff. It's probably his proudest game design moment, I imagine.
Probably. So, I mean, should I put this one on my list, Alyssa?
I would say if you like her story and telling lies, you would want to play it.
I didn't finish Telling Lies, but Immortality intrigues me more.
I would say it's worth a play, yeah.
Okay, I will add it to my list. We're going to go ahead and jump into video game news here in just a second. I got to say, I meant to say this at the top of the show. I got so many comments from people that listened to last week's episode with, it was U2 and CB, about how it was weird to hear a podcast where it sounded like old guys yelling at clouds, but Scott wasn't here.
I guess I'm an old guy now.
I think it was mostly Zack and CB, but...
Oh, man, I don't even remember what cloud we yelled. Oh, is this because there's nothing new thing that CB was going on about?
Yeah. I'm assuming. And somebody posted a picture of the two old guys from the Muppets saying, this is what the podcast is like when Scott's not around.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I guess I'm the little balcony there that the old guys are standing in.
Right, yeah, right. You're propping us up, Alyssa.
It was pretty funny. Kind of made me laugh. So anyway, let's go ahead and jump into the week's news. All right, couple new trailers to talk about. First off, a game called Prison City is coming to Steam on August 29th. There's a Switch version of that coming later as well. Tax Force is coming to Steam, but not really sure on the date. That one is to be determined. David Newman posted in our Discord letting everybody know that the trailer for Modern Warfare 3 dropped. That's going to be on Xbox, PlayStation, Steam, and Battle.net on November 10th. And then a little game called Koira is coming on Steam in 2025. A little shocked to see a trailer for a game that's not coming out for that long. Over on other bits of news, Ferris74 on Discord let us know that Microsoft announced the date of the Xbox 360 store's shutdown. David Newman let us know that Alan Wake 2 has been delayed. And lastly, Nintendo filed 31 patents relating to Tears of the Kingdom this week. I thought that was kind of an interesting story. Alyssa, which story would you like to talk about?
Well, I know Zack and I are very passionate about the same game, and I'm going to let him talk about that one because I'm being nice.
Okay.
I'll talk about... What was that?
I said, how kind that I get to talk about Tax Force on my own volition.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking about a different game that has the same initials that I have, but we'll talk about Microsoft announcing the date of the Xbox 360 store shutdown, which it will be shutting down July 29th of 2024. Players using an Xbox 360 will not be able to purchase games or DLC after that date. They will still be able to play games they've already purchased, though. The movies and TV app will also no longer be available. Xbox One and Series XS owners will still be able to purchase backwards compatible games on the modern Xbox store.
Yeah, I feel like this was a major headline story that kind of freaked me out when I first saw it until I read the details that you just read, because I was like, you're saying that we can't buy those old games anymore? I mean, I don't know how big of a market that is, but the fact that you can still buy them on current consoles makes it a little bit softer for me.
Yeah.
I can't tell you the last time I was on the Xbox 360 store. I think there was somebody did a stat. I don't remember what the exact stat was of like how much business is actually conducted on there. So it kind of makes sense, but on the same token, it also sucks that it's not available if that's the only console you have. But I don't know. You could get an Xbox One for pretty cheap nowadays.
It's true.
Zach, any thoughts?
Oh, it's terrible on every level. It's just
that's what I was expecting.
yeah, it's horrifying for game preservation. It's terrible. I mean, you're right. I'm sure it makes business sense, just like when Sony was going to shut down the PS3 store. But that doesn't make it anything other than inexcusable still. Yeah, there are going to be hundreds of games that go away that we'll never get to see again that happen here. You have all the Xbox Live little indie games, the ones that were like I made a game with zombies in it. There's going to be a whole suite of games like that are just going to be gone forever. And you're right, it is great that some of them are backwards compatible, but
not all of them are, though.
Yeah, it just sucks. It sucks. There's no two ways about it. It's terrible, but it is just inevitable. At least they're giving you some time to prepare. Unlike they're giving you a lot more time than Nintendo or Sony ever do when they threaten these things.
Right.
So I'll give them credit there, but yeah, it sucks. Terrible news.
My question with this is that Alyssa told us that you're not going to be able to purchase them, but I also read that you'll still be able to play them on your 360. But what if like you get say your 360 dies and you have to get a new one? Are you going to be able to re-download them if you've purchased them in the past, or are you locked into that console and after that's done, you'll never be able to get them again?
That's a good question.
I would think so. Mostly because Microsoft seems to be decent by its customer base, probably because they're in last place, so they have to be. Mm-hmm. But I would still think you'd be able to download what you owe, because from when they were shutting down the PlayStation Store, and I actually cared about that a little bit more because I have a lot of purchased on PS3. And I was trying to like read around. It sounds like they mostly do this for accounting purposes and how much it cleans up their books, because you don't have to write a check for 2 cents to some indie game that got purchased. So it cleans up and you're saving money on the accountants basically.
Right.
Is what it is. It's like a super crummy tiny thing like that. So I don't see the issue in letting you download stuff you've already bought, because there's no paperwork for them there.
Mm-hmm. I hope so, because that would be a lot.
Yeah.
It would be pretty cruddy if you're like, like you have a PT situation where,
right.
Yeah.
If you don't have this game on your console anymore, you're never going to be able to play it again. I don't know. This is definitely not a good mark in the argument for digital only games. Because this is the kind of stuff that you guys were talking about on that episode, where if we all go all digital at some point, some of these games are never going to be available anymore unless someone starts preserving things or like it's a good mark for piracy. I mean,
right?
And
you
guys know how I feel about piracy, but at what point is it okay? I mean, there's got to be a point where it's okay. If there's literally no way for you to pay for it.
Right. If you want to pay for it and they're not letting you, I don't have any moral objections to it.
Yeah.
And with how rampant piracy is, it doesn't seem to be a real crime anyway.
Yeah, because it can't be that hard to track, right? I mean, if I can go find an online source to have access to these games and download them, I'm pretty sure the FBI could too.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a website. If you just Google "read comics online," you will just get a website where on the front page you can read any of the new comics that came out that day.
Oh, same with manga.
How are these things possible if they're supposed to be against the law? So I guess they don't really feel that against the law at the end of the day.
Yeah. I don't get it. Because even as hardcore as Nintendo is on cracking down on that kind of stuff, you can still just go download Switch games. Like,
right.
How are those things not shut down? I really don't understand.
I do not understand why they don't get shut down. I agree. I guess it must be hosted in some part of the world where they just don't care, maybe.
Must be.
Yeah.
All right, Zach, I know what you want to talk about. Go ahead.
I guess the Alan Wake 2 delay, is that what you guys are hinting at?
Yes.
Yeah.
The same initials that I have.
Right, AW2. Those are your initials.
Yeah.
Alyssa White 2 Hottie? Is that?
Oh, thank you.
Is that her AIM messenger name?
Yes, exactly what it is. Or what was the other one with the little flower? that every time somebody would message you, would go, "Uh-oh."
Oh, I don't know. What the hell?
CIQ.
I never
CIQ.
used AOL Messenger.
Anyway, talk to us about Alan Wake 2.
Yeah, I got delayed by a whole 10 days, coming out October 27th. Redmi claims they wanted to get out of the way of other releases coming out around the original date. Maybe they're having PTSD about releasing alongside Mario Galaxy 2 and Red Dead.
Yeah.
October is an amazing month for game launches. We hope this date shift gives more spaces to everyone to enjoy their favorite games. Because October is loaded with games, right? Spider-Man 2 comes out the 20th, which I imagine is the one they're most afraid of. Assassin's Creed Mirage comes out at the start of the month. Super Mario Brothers Wonder comes out in October. My God. And Sonic the Hedgehog Superstars. Reminder, Alan Wake 2 is a digital-only release. Remedy's statement back during the announcement, there are many reasons for this. For one, a large number of players have shifted to digital-only. You can buy a Sony PlayStation 5 without a disc drive, and Microsoft's Xbox Series S is a digital-only console. It is not uncommon to release modern games as digital-only. Secondly, not releasing a disc helps keep the price of the game at $59.99, and the PC version at $49.99. Finally, we did not want to ship a disc product and have it required a download for the game. We do not think this would make for a great experience either. I don't know why their digital thing has to be so full of lies, but...
I don't know why you. I don't have a problem.
Fort Solis has a disc release. Fort Solis, a mid-tier game, has a disc release coming out next month for $34.99. It's the same price as the digital version. So, what would make Alan Wake 2, with the publisher of Epic Games, think they can't afford to print a disc, or it would raise cost too much? That's just a completely made-up reason. That's fine. I don't care.
Mean, it does make the game more expensive.
How so? Only if they wanted to.
No, like the cost of the materials, the discs and the case.
That is true. But if a mid-tier game can afford it, how the hell is Epic Games not able to afford it?
It's not that they can't afford it, it's that they would like to have the profit margin that they can without charging. They don't want to charge the $70.
Again, they would not have to charge $70. They're just saying that way you have a reason to feel good about it. They could easily just charge $60 and still make a bunch of money.
They would make a bunch of money, but the profit margin wouldn't be as large.
So I want them to be honest and just say we want to make as much money as possible, not this bullshit about.
That's what they're saying. We want
what they're saying.
Money.
They're saying is, oh, this helps us keep the price at $60. No, you pick the price. If you put it on disc, you could still make it $60. Every other disc game is charging whatever they want.
I understand what you're saying. I just they sugarcoated this in a way that you're not liking, is what it is.
Because it's a lie. Yes. I don't like being lied to. I just be honest. We know what you mean.
Well, the funny thing is, this is actually the old part. This was actually old news, right? But I did read that like THQ approached them to offer publishing a physical release of the game.
Oh yeah,
like, we'll do it.
They said no.
People want this physical release, and they said no.
Yeah, so
which is interesting.
What does that tell you? They just don't want to do it, and that's fine. Just say you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Don't make up stuff.
The real news here is the delay, which I don't remember the last time we heard. Oh, we're going to delay this game by like 10 days. And I know you don't believe this either, but I seriously don't have any problem believing they just want to get out of the way of all these games in October. I don't have a problem.
Well, okay, sorry. Yeah, you're right. When this was announced, I said I don't believe the reason for wanting to help everybody out, because that doesn't sound like anything a business has ever done in history.
They're saying that it's more to that they're going to get more sales.
Yeah,
because like you said, they learned from.
But I'm not a marketing expert, but I feel like getting out before Spider-Man would be better for you.
Well, yeah, but before Spider-Man, there's Assassin's Creed.
But that's the start of the month.
Super Mario.
Yeah, I don't know when Mario's coming out off the top of my head. But I would just think you would want to release before the multi-million seller, but I trust them to be better marketers than I am. Although, well, I guess it's Epic is doing the marketing this time, not Microsoft, because Microsoft really shot themselves in the head on the first game.
Mm-hmm.
But I would just think everybody's going to be talking about Spider-Man at that point. All of the zeitgeist is going to be going to Spider-Man.
Well, the question is, how long is Spider-Man 2? Because how long was the first one?
But
I feel like the first one was like 12, 15 hours, maybe.
Oh, I thought it was like around 20.
Was it 20?
Yeah,
okay.
I was thinking it was more long 20 hours.
I mean, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to finish that game before.
Yeah, but you also only have so much money to spend in the month, so I don't know if you want to come last.
Well, I mean, you're going to also... That's a better point, probably, is that, yeah, if you're going to... you want to be there first, they buy your game instead of buying the other. But
right? Because think about how impatient gamers are, right? The 360 outsold the PS3, but simply because it came out first.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
People,
how do you feel about this, Alyssa? You're looking forward to this game too, right?
Oh, I am definitely. I do think they're trying to get out of the way of the competition, but like, it's mentioned people are going to be playing Spider-Man. I'm not sure when Super Mario Brothers comes out. All that jazz.
I'm afraid to look it up because I'm doing this podcast on a hotspot, and I'm afraid to look it up myself. So,
yeah,
if somebody wants to do that,
sure.
Go ahead, Alyssa.
But as a fan, I would have preferred them releasing it before everything else. Mm-hmm. But I can also see them trying to target the Halloween market also.
That was what I thought too.
To Halloween. I don't know if that will work particularly well with sales, but I feel like that's another kind of small factor as well.
Well, we'll never know, which would be better, right? There's just no way to know.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this, Alyssa. If they did both release on the 17th that was supposed to release on, which would you be playing first, Spider-Man or Alan Wake 2?
I'd probably honestly go with Alan Wake 2.
And Zack, I assume. Well, no, actually, I don't know which one you would have started with if they came out on the 17th.
It would be Alan Wake 2.
That is really interesting to me.
Why?
Well, maybe because Alan Wake, it's been so long since Alan Wake.
13 years. Yeah. And
Spider-Man. You've had a Spider-Man since then.
Well, as you say, there's a new Spider-Man something, every week. Yeah,
that's true.
It's not something you necessarily long for.
Yeah, you get to play Spider-Man in Fortnite. I mean, yeah, it's
right. Or there's comics or TV shows.
Yeah,
Spider-Man's inescapable. Alan Wake, I haven't heard a lick of since Control's DLC, and before that, it was a dry spell of 10 years. So
right. Yeah, it's gonna be October is gonna be so nuts, man. Just between all these games and R2V2 happening for us, I'm not gonna be able to catch up on anything.
Wait, what about you? Which one would you play first? I guess Spider-Man.
Alan Wake.
Look
I
at that.
would say Alan Wake. However, it depends on if I can finish the remaster first. Because I will tell you, I didn't put it in the games I've been catching up on. I fired up Alan Wake Remastered because I wanted to play through it again, like you did recently. And as soon as I got to the title screen, my friends were like, "Hey, come play Diablo with us," and I just can't say no to friends that want to play Diablo. So I'm gonna have to say no at some point and just get through Alan Wake because I remember really liking it, and I remember so little of it. Because like you mentioned earlier, Red Dead, Alan Wake, Super Mario Galaxy 2, all in the same day.
Right. Yeah.
And I remember so much more of Mario Galaxy. It was Mario Galaxy 2, right?
Yeah, I think it was 2. Yeah, because Mario Galaxy, I think it was like 2007, right?
Yeah. I remember a lot of Mario Galaxy 2 and Red Dead, but I remember very little of Alan Wake, so I would like to revisit it. But I guess it depends on which one I have. If I have that beaten before the 27th, which you said it's only like a 15-hour game, right?
Yeah, like 12, 15 hours.
Yeah, okay. That sounds right.
I would like to do that. I need to get on my list of games that I'm playing for me instead of review for our resolutions.
Oh, yeah.
Which, by the way, guys, I am keeping up on my resolutions from this year. If you remember that episode.
Like you're turning your phone off and all that stuff?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not hitting every single day. There's days I've missed, but I am recording them. Every time I turn my phone off for an hour, I record it on a spreadsheet. So,
man, you're a big spreadsheet guy.
I love spreadsheets, man. I love it.
Guys, he's got like 17 Gaming Outsider spreadsheets going at any given time. He loves spreadsheets.
Yeah, I do. Well, we actually, I was having a conversation with CB because we were talking about, I made a list on a spreadsheet of things that need to be done before R2V2. And we have a group chat going on with everybody that's kind of doing stuff up there in Rockford. And CB's like, I'm going to make a list, a to-do list. And I'm like, dude, I already have. And he's like, no, I just want to have it on paper. And I'm like, why do you want it on paper? Nobody can see your piece of paper. We have it on Google Sheets. We can all see it. He's like, well, I'm going to do it on paper first and then put it on the spreadsheet. And my brain hurts so bad. You can access it on your phone, man. Just type it. Anyway.
I don't know, man. I for years wrote my reviews on paper before I typed them up. So I kind of relate.
I don't like writing by hand. I
love
seriously
it.
hate it.
I have
so much PTSD from when I was a kid and writing, rough drafts with skipping every line and then going back and editing it and then writing a final product and slowly and meticulous as you can till your hand hurt. I freaking hate it.
I didn't like that as well either. But when we finally implemented computers, I forget what grade it was, 4th, 5th grade. I would write the rough draft, and then when it would come back with any kind of edits I needed to do, I would just go and type it up. And then eventually, like in middle school, high school, my papers, I would type the rough draft, save the document on my computer, get it back with the edits that were like circled on it, and just go to that saved paper and just replace the words or any kind of punctuation. And that would be the only thing I would change. I'd be like, okay, done. Didn't type it again.
Nice.
Oh, why should you have to type it a second time? That is. I remember
That's
when
what
I was
everyone
in college,
else in school was doing. I'm like, I found a way around.
they were typing it a second time.
Yeah. And then everyone's
There's
like, how'd you
no
finish
way
so fast,
people actually
Alyssa?
did
I'm
that.
like, I'm just so talented.
I remember in college there were people that would, like students would get paid to have their paper typed up. So like someone would give them their written copy and then pay them like $10 or whatever to type their paper for them. You know, because
Wow.
some people didn't know how to type. You know,
Yeah.
people were really fast at it. Dude, I would have made so much money in college with as fast as I can type now. If I could type. But
You really are old.
shut up, man. I learned how to type on a typewriter. I'm just saying.
Oh, dude, I love typewriter. Did you know that Cormac McCarthy wrote on typewriter until the day he died?
That's amazing.
I don't even know who that is.
Oh.
He wrote The Road.
Blood
Oh,
Meridian, No
okay,
Country
yeah.
for Old Men.
Yeah, No Country for Old Men, yeah.
Kind of
So I feel like everybody that you watch in a movie writes books on a typewriter.
Alan Wake does.
Yeah, right.
At least in the Dark Place. Speaking of which, I don't know if you guys are watching every single interview Sam Lake's been doing leading up to Alan Wake 2 like I am. But,
yeah, absolutely.
but they said this is their longest game to date. I was wondering how we feel about that.
Oh, that's kind of a bummer, actually.
It was the first time I've heard that and gone, I can live with that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, dude, again, it's been 13 years. I'm like, if this is, let's pretend this is your last shot and just tell me everything you got.
Okay.
I mean, I
but I
kind
was
of
just-
I'm
expected
really
it
surprised
with
to hear you say that.
having the two different protagonists as well.
Yeah.
I figured the game would be longer.
Yeah, I didn't like what he said. Where this is he said this is our most modern feeling game. I was like, oh, I don't. What does that mean? Skill tree? Because I swear I'll lose it, man.
You will
Don't-
lose it.
Yeah.
Don't do this to me.
That's like the beauty of the original you said, right? Is that you just play the game.
Yeah, you just
Just no upgrades.
Dude, that's
Plus
so
some
nice about
services.
playing old games. Is like they actually designed it knowing what you had. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so the gunfights feel challenging because they have to account. They know what you have, so they know what they can challenge you with. Unlike now,
Mhm.
where you can pick any upgrade path you want on anything, so every fight feels the same all the time because I can't risk alienating you. Anyway, that's a topic.
As for me, as much as I would like to talk about the Modern Warfare 3 trailer, I forgot to watch it. Or the Prison City trailer, which looks so much like Power Blade from the original NES. I recommend checking out that trailer. It looks like an old school NES game, but modern. That looks really good. I'm going to have to talk about Zelda. Nintendo filing these patents for Tears of the Kingdom, which is weird. Doesn't that feel like something you should do before a game releases, not after? It appears that Nintendo is trying to protect much of what makes the game unique. I think what they're expecting is that other developers are going to iterate on their ideas, kind of like what we expected everybody to do with what was the Lord of the Rings game?
The Nemesis system.
Oh, Shadow
The
of
Nemesis
Mordor?
system.
Yeah.
Yeah, weren't we like expecting that just to be like the next thing
But
Yeah,
they,
and
but
in
they
video
no
games?
No one could replicate it.
well, they patented
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, because they patented it.
And then they did nothing with it. So
Right.
like,
So
Good
thank
job.
God Zelda's thank God Nintendo's patented this, so nobody else can have creativity.
right. So again, 31 patents, but some of them include things like, and Zach, I know you haven't played the game, so you won't know what these things are, but the Ultra Hand and Fuse abilities are among the list. But even things like Link's movement while he's on top of these structures that you build, and even minor things like the screens, the menus are being patented. So I know this is kind of a non-story. I just thought it was really interesting that they're patenting this stuff afterwards because they don't want people to do this. But I could totally see. Look what happened with Vampire Survivors. How many clones of Vampire Survivors are out there? There's got to be like 25 of them, if not more, of games that are very similar to that style. This is easily something that people could iterate on with the whole building mechanic, the way that Link is doing it. But I don't know. Zach, when are you going to play that game?
I'm sure I will at some point. It's kind of it's kind of on the list of huge games I need to play, like God of War Ragnarok and Plague Tale Requiem as well.
I saw it down to $40 today.
Yeah,
on QVC of all places.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. How do you feel? How do you feel about Nintendo doing this? I'm wondering if, because you can't copyright look and feel in America, right? Like that's how things like Bomb Rush Cyberpunk can exist. So I feel like you can have the patent, but I'm not sure you could defend it in a court of law. But you could send a cease and desist and scare the hell out of somebody, probably.
Yeah, I mean, Nintendo's got the clout to scare people.
Well,
right.
and the money to bankrupt you before you have a chance to get to court.
Exactly. Kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm of the mind that I would like to see what other developers do with some of these ideas. I mean, Nintendo did a great job with it, but I'd rather other companies have a chance to kind of not capitalize on it, but iterate on it to try different things with it. I mean, that's kind of what they want you to do in the game, right? Is experiment and try and do as much as you can, but they don't want anybody to experiment and do what they can with this idea.
Right.
I don't know.
And it sucks because you think about the Nemesis system and how it should have taken over. Like, I imagine if Spider-Man did just have a mob system in the background with this Nemesis system, and it would even make sense for Spider-Man because he doesn't kill anybody.
Right.
That's true,
So they would keep coming back. I think that would be incredible, but you just can't do it.
That's a really good point. I would love to have a Nemesis system in a Spider-Man game.
Awesome.
Well, and the greatest shame is that I heard Mike Bithell, creator of Thomas Was Alone, talk about the Nemesis system once, and he said it's actually incredibly simple to do. It's just unless you build a game where it's a focus, you would never notice it because the way the AI acts in the background, like you have to draw attention to it happening to make it feel like it's there, which I thought was interesting.
Is what they did in Mordor. It was like every time one showed up, it was like the game stops and they zoom in on this guy and he taunts you.
Exactly,
right?
And that's what makes it cool because then the player would actually notice. However, if you do that, Warner Brothers could be like, "Well, that looks awfully familiar."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it would be easy to hide it, but nobody would notice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what
gotcha.
So that's what he made it sound like. It was a very interesting talk he did.
Interesting. Well, that's the news. Let's go ahead very quick and do some quick housekeeping. Remind everybody about Patreon. You can help support The Gaming Outsider at patreon.com/thegocast. Currently, we've got our Desert Islands Games episode with Marina Ryan from Quest Markers and our spoiler cast for Final Fantasy XVI that Zack and Brandon recorded with me. That is available right now. We are working on a trade-off episode. Kevin and I are going to be doing Streets of Rage 2, Marvel Land on the Genesis, Sunset Riders on the Genesis, and DuckTales on the original NES. We're hoping we get that out by the end of the month. I was not expecting to be in Florida, so I'm going to try to get caught up on those games. But I have been playing Streets of Rage 2 for sure. But it does help the show. We don't keep any of the money for ourselves. Every penny we earn goes towards the production of the show, as well as anything extra pay for review copies, which we in turn give away to the community. And we got to do a giveaway for the month of August. We haven't done one yet, so we'll have to talk about what game we're going to do. But if you'd like to help out, go to patreon.com/thegocast. We really would appreciate the support. And now let's go ahead and jump into the new games that we've been playing. All right, Zach, what's on the list? I'm excited to see what's coming out that I can avoid because my backlog is so huge.
I don't think you're in luck, actually. From Soft's big new, first non-Souls-like in some time, Armored Core 6 Fires of the Rubicon comes to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, and PC August 25th. Goodbye Volcano High, which is about, dinosaurs in school. I swear this game got announced like 3 or 4 years ago, right?
I feel like it did.
Yeah. Finally coming to PS5, PS4, and PC August 29th. Samba de Amigo Party Central comes to Switch August 29th. JRPG is Sea of Stars, which I know Scott's very much looking forward to.
I actually kickstarted it.
Yeah. Coming to PS5.
Which is interesting because, when you kickstart it, you get a copy of the game. Actually, the tier I did, I got 2 copies of the game, a physical and a digital copy.
Nice.
But they gave us two digital copies because the physical copy doesn't come out at launch. It's going to be like later. So they gave us a digital copy to tide us over. But I don't need it because it's coming to Game Pass. So, yeah. So if you want my copy of Sea of Stars, dude, I can probably hook you up.
Okay. Well, I mean, if it's on Game Pass, I guess.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like,
I mean, if it was a PlayStation code, I'd be very excited about it.
Yeah, I could have asked for a PlayStation code, but I asked for an Xbox code because I would prefer it, and that was before I knew it was coming to Game Pass.
Right.
So, but yeah, I'm in that weird spot right now. I'm gonna have a code that I feel like it's a waste to use because I can just play it on Game Pass. But
yeah. And it's on the same universe as The Messenger, right?
that's what I've heard.
Yeah.
I don't know how it ties into that. The Messenger was a great game, but a completely different style of game.
Yeah. But it's still think it's supposed to be thousands of years before, so it might not even be, directly tied to each other, but it might be cool if there's like, here's like 17 different genres that we're going to make games for all in the same universe.
Right.
Also,
cool. I don't know if I told you guys this, but I paid for such a high tier on Kickstarter for this that supposedly the GoCast's name or the Gaming Outsider is somewhere in the game on a gravestone. Like,
that's cool.
Yeah, so when you play the game, if you find gravestones, read all of them, because one of them will say either the Gaming Outsider or the GoCast. I can't remember what I submitted, but
so surely cool. We can look forward to an unbiased review from you soon, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Anyway, Sea of Stars comes to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, Switch, and PC August 29th. The Making of Karateka comes to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, and PC August 29th, interactive documentary. Rhapsody Marl Kingdom Chronicles collects Rhapsody 2 and 3 musical JRPGs on PS5 and Switch, as well as PC August 29th. Under the Waves, which is published by Quantic Dream, interactive story, but not developed by them, comes to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, PC August 29th. Deceit 2, asymmetric multiplayer game, comes to PC August 31st. Somerville, which is from the art director of Inside and Limbo, comes to PS5 and PS4 August 31st. And then somehow Trine 5, I don't know how we got to a fifth one. A Clockwork Conspiracy comes to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, Switch, and PC August 31st. Scott, I assume Sea of Stars would be your standout game then.
For sure, Sea of Stars. However, I am really, really intrigued by this Making of Karateka thing, just because I hope it's good, and I hope that we see more of this kind of stuff. Interactive documentary. I mean, we had that Atari 50,
right?
Which
same developers,
which I didn't play, but it is same developers. So I hope this is something that happens, because I would love to have an interactive documentary style game where you just kind of go around and learn about it, because Karateka was a big deal back in the day, right?
Yeah, it was the precursor to Prince of Persia.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I don't know if I'll play it just because there's so much to do right now between games and just life in general. But I'm intrigued by that concept. Also, didn't we cover, or we saw Trine 4 at E3 together? Or
yeah.
I talked about it at.
I'm just surprised these games keep coming.
Oh yeah, it's they remind me of the Lost Vikings, only a little bit more intricate. Remember that game on 16-bit era?
Blizzard.
Yeah, it was Blizzard, because they had that on the collection too. I believe there was like a collection of Rock and Roll Racing, that, and anyway.
Alyssa, what about you? Is it Goodbye Volcano High?
That is one of them, yes.
Yeah.
I figured everyone watches that trailer, they're going to think of me. That knows me. Yeah, just it looks interesting. It has since it was first announced. I definitely want to play Sea of Stars because it will be coming to Game Pass, and I have to find the gravestone now.
Yeah, right?
But the trailer also looked really good. And I am intrigued by Under the Waves, because I am a fan of Quantic Dream. I know they're the publisher for this, but I have no idea what you even do in this game, really. You can't really tell from the trailer. It just looks
you're just
in the
chilling
ocean.
with the ocean. Yeah, yeah.
But I'm kind of curious to know how that is. So maybe I'll dive into that one. I had to do a little pun there.
Did there?
If, it gets some good positive feedback.
Nice.
Yeah.
Zach, what about you, man?
Well, I second, I'm also with you guys. Sea of Stars, I think, looks extraordinary, but I'm not going to be able to do anything but check out the Making of Karateka.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Jordan Mechner. I love all of his games. What a cool story, making games in his bedroom when he was like 15, just selling millions. Wild. But in the interactive documentary thing, it just looks so intriguing. They'll talk about a certain boss fight or how it got developed, and then it's like, hey, why don't you play it right now? I think it's kind of cool. And they have 4 different versions of Karateka, and then they have a previously unreleased game of Mechner's in this collection too, so it's a hell of a package. So I very much look forward to this, and I do respect the audacity to say, Gold Master Series Volume 1 or whatever, Entry 1. So the idea seems to be that we'll be getting more of these, and I think that's super cool. And what's really exciting about it is it's a documentary in a way that only a video game could do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It really makes me want to just go pick up Atari 50 just to see what they did with that. Because I think Sean reviewed that for us.
I believe so.
And Sean Coates.
Mm-hmm.
And he just raved about it. I just didn't have time to check it out myself. So
yeah, I don't care as much about Atari as I do about Jordan Mechner. So
yeah, that's fair.
This gets me for sure.
I just have such nostalgia for Atari. Like I grew up with Atari. I just part of my childhood, dude. So
right, yeah, I understand.
So Zack, you played Dust and Neon, which, watching the trailer, it looks like a roguelike with looter shooter elements, and of course, Western
mm-hmm.
and robots. Is that the basic gist of this game, or does it go deeper?
Right, yeah, there's a 6-shooter, so I was in.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, the 6-shooter would be a selling point.
If you want Zach to play a game, just tell him that it feels like a Western.
Right, yeah. Why can't we get a Vampire Survivors as a Western,
That would be so awesome.
That'd be great. But yeah, no, you're right. It is a robot sci-fi Western roguelike. Although I was incorrect. I've been saying you're a robot gunslinger. You're a cyborg, technically. Okay, so want to set the record. You're half machine, half man. And you get resurrected by this Dr. Frankenstein guy, and he needs you to go kill 5 or 6 evil robots. And that's the whole plot right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's
okay.
Yeah, less story than I had anticipated. Though I guess I'm not the expert of roguelikes like Scott is. He probably would have known that there would be no story here.
I mean, I didn't have any story in Ember Knights, right?
Yeah, so I thought I'd at least get like a backstory for the robots I'm killing or something, but not really. No,
it's just literally bad guy, go kill bad guys.
You don't need an explanation. Just murder.
Hell yeah. But
this one looks like a more methodical roguelike, though. Like it doesn't look like I know I keep talking about Ember Knights. That game is very quick, very fast paced. This one looked a little bit more. I'm not gonna say precision, but like you just kind of really had to take your time. Am I misreading that from the trailer?
Well, it just got so good by the end, Scott. It's hard to remember if you start slow or not. No, I mean you can take cover, and in the beginning areas you can kind of go a little bit slower, but I find it's much more effective to actually like dodge roll around and try to be a little snappy. But you are right that it's methodical because it's a twin stick shooter, but you do have to pull the left trigger to pull up your gun first, which which I don't find is commonly experienced in a twin stick shooter because you usually aim with the right stick,
Yeah.
Right.
They walk around. So it's just that extra little tap, and then you have to start aiming. And it just adds a little bit more consideration before you start firing. And then the biggest hook to the gunplay is that you have to reload each bullet individually. So if you have
do you have a 6-shooter? So you have to shoot all 6 and then go click, 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 click.
Right. So you have to tap the reload button 6 times. Yeah.
So it adds some extra attention to the gameplay.
Yes, it does. So when you're rolling around, trying to kill a guy, you got a shotgun, double barrel shotgun, you pop off both rounds. And you got another big, giant tank guy coming around the corner. You have to quickly snap, decision. Is this going to be better if I try to reload the shotgun, or is it better if I try to switch to my rifle and try to get him from afar or something like that? So there's a lot of like split second decisions, and because everything kind of takes time, whether it's aiming or reloading, or taking cover or what have you, you kind of have to make your decisions fast because if you react poorly, you're going to get hit, and true to roguelikes, each hit does pretty severe damage.
Mm-hmm. So if you've got let's say you've spent 3 of your bullets, can you reload those 3?
Yeah.
Or do you have to expend all of the bullets before you can reload all 6?
No, you can reload. Yeah, you can just pop in the other 3 shells you need or whatever. It just adds a little extra layer of dynamism to the combat, and then each weapon's handling also kind of like even a revolver when you're aiming will have 2 lines to show you the spread of where the bullets will land. Mm-hmm. So you also don't want to. You can fire off fast if you want to, but each shot is gonna give you recoil or whatever and make your next shot spread wider. So you kind of do have to be methodical or considered about your gunplay, which I found quite enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
interesting.
What happens when you die? Do you have to restart from the beginning of the game, or do you restart from the beginning of a level?
Yeah, this is something I kind of want to talk to Scott about because he's much more familiar with the genre. But in my experience, you go on these giant long runs, right, that are like 30 minutes probably, in most like Rogue Legacy or Hades. Here in Dust and Neon, each run is like 5 or 10 minutes. You're doing these little missions.
Okay.
And they're super easy. You're just kind of going in because the goal of the game is to level up, and each time you hit a certain level, a boss will start appearing in missions. So you go to a mission board, and it'll have like 4 or 5 different options. You can either like rob a train, or go destroy toxic barrels, or sabotage an enemy base, etc. And those kind of repeat in different areas. And the goal is you go in there so you can get cash and try to get better weapons, and also level up. And then you can challenge a boss later on when you get to the right level. But if you do die, you do lose all of your guns and most of your cash and stuff like that. But it doesn't feel quite as damning as in other roguelikes because the missions are only like 5 or 10 minutes. So you can just get back out on the field and start getting better weapons pretty quickly.
Okay.
That's actually a really smart way to do it.
It is.
Yeah, it feels good for like quick little bursts, which is nice. And it makes it so when you what I like is you fight the boss, you die to the boss, but he goes back on the mission board, and you can kind of you get to make the decision of, do I want to go straight back for the boss, or do I want to try to build myself up first, or do I want to try buy a new gun here or something like that. And it's just kind of up to you when you want to take on that boss again, which I like. Because Rogue Legacy, right, you still have to go through the whole level and hope that boss spawns again or whatever. Or in Hades.
Well, the boss will always, in Rogue Legacy, the boss will always be somewhere on the map.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just a matter of, because the map regenerates every time you go in, like the castle like readjusts or whatever, but it will always be there.
Right.
And it's only that boss for that level or section of the castle, as you will.
See, what I like here is the boss levels are stagnant. So when you pick their mission, you can just run. It's the same run every time, almost like a Dark Souls where you have to run up to the boss.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I
you
really
memorize and all that.
Yeah, I really like that. Well, and it also just means like if I want to cut out the nonsense and get straight to the boss, right back into that fight, I can, which is nice.
Interesting.
You'll be severely disadvantaged because you don't have any good weapons or anything. But if you want to, you could do that, which I like. And I like fighting the bosses because though there are 6 of them, they are each completely different. They each require a totally different tactic. One might be a straight up, just rootin' tootin' shooting adventure, but then another guy, he might force you into cover because he's got a minigun, or maybe another guy's got laser grid traps you've got to dodge while also trying to shoot him. So it's just each of the 6 bosses feels entirely different, which is pretty exciting.
Now, I know you encountered some trophy issues on this one. We've been talking over text about that.
Yeah.
Did those get resolved or?
Not yet. There's a bug trophy, at least on PlayStation right now, where there's a trophy for defeating each boss 3 times, because you can face a bosses multiple times, and they'll have different attacks and mechanics each time, which is super nice. But I've beaten each boss 3 times, and the trophy has not popped. I've actually beaten most of the bosses 4 times, and it still hasn't popped, because I thought maybe they meant to beat the bosses 3 additional times or something.
Oh yeah,
just on a far French, because I want this last trophy, man. It's gonna haunt me. But then an even worse glitch on PS5 is that if you go fight the 4th boss for the 4th time, he just won't spawn. He has a laser grid. That's the one I was referencing earlier, but he just won't spawn at all on PS5 right now. And I've tried it like 6 or 8 times.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
that
very
gets patched.
strange. Yeah, but that's also such a late problem, and also if you only care about trophies, right? So
Yeah.
it's not I don't think that's a concern for most people, because otherwise the only real glitch I have is there are some guns that have clips, so you only have to press the reload button once or whatever. And every time I do that, it hitches on PS5, like noticeably. Like everything will stop for 3 seconds.
Oh, that's frustrating.
Yeah, so I just don't use those guns. But I don't want to use those guns anyway, because that's not Cowboy.
Yeah. Well, the game is available on PlayStation, Nintendo Switch, and PC. In addition to I say in addition. It's you can also play it on PS4. It looks like, but
It's on Xbox as well.
Is it? Did I mess that up? All right, that's my bad. So it's available on Xbox as well. Comes from developer David Marquardt. Studios and was published by Rogue Games. Do you recommend this one?
I do, yeah. No, I did end up liking it a lot just because the gunplay is so much fun, and then obviously the setting really works for me. But there is something about seeing like neon lights on dusty streets that is just so abnormal that it catches your eye. If that
It
makes
lives up
sense.
to the name.
Yeah,
Dust
it sure
to
does.
neon.
Dust and neon. Who knew? But when you go and you see a giant neon sign for Undertaker, it's just a fun thing. It actually made me, because I don't like roguelikes as much as like I wish. No, sorry, not the roguelike. I wish there was more story because I like the setting so much.
Right.
So I wish there was something to learn about the world or something. But there's not.
Very cool. I mean, that's not because there's no story, but I'm glad you liked it because I always like get excited when you get into a roguelike.
Yeah,
You know
well,
what I mean? 'Cause-
I mean, I must have liked it, right? I got every trophy but the one I can't get.
Right.
You would get it if you could.
Right? Yeah, I would have all the trophies. I would have been the first person to get all the trophies. Gosh darn it!
Aw,
Because there were 0% people had that trophy. Well, now I know why. But there's another trophy for getting like 200 weapons from loot, and I was the first person to get that trophy.
Nice.
Which felt pretty cool.
What was the percentage then? Like 0.04 or something like that?
I don't know if well, this was a pre-release environment, so it was like it was
Yeah.
like 10% or whatever. But it still felt
Gotcha.
cool.
Also, got to give a shout out to Reverb Inc. They're the ones that hooked us up with a review copy of that one. Glad you liked it, man. I'm glad you liked it roguelite. And I'm going to get you to play Ember Knights and see if you like that one.
Surely there's more ones you love more than that, right? Children of Morta, wouldn't you rather play that?
Well, I thought you did play Children of Morta.
Not
You
very
didn't?
much. Just like an hour of it.
Oh, okay. That one was better storytelling than any of them, honestly. Rogue
Oh,
Legacy
not
is
better than Hades. Come on.
Well, I didn't get that far into Hades. I need to give that one another shot. I still own that game on Switch. I should just go now that I finished Ember Knights, I should go try Hades again.
Dude, it's very
Now that
good.
Yeah. So there you go. Yeah, that is Dust in Neon. If you like roguelikes and you like westerns, seems like a winner, right?
I think so. I mean, Scott, I know you're a big victim of FOMO.
Yeah, I am.
So you had no choice but to check out Baldur's Gate 3, developed and published by Larian Studios. I think you're playing it on the Steam Deck.
I am.
It's coming to PlayStation, the same deal as Starfield is coming to Xbox, so there's something for people to look forward to. But yeah, man, Baldur's Gate 3. I loved Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 back in the day, BioWare classics. But I just Baldur's Gate 3 doesn't super interest me. What excited you about it?
Well, what excited me about it is the fact that I have recently got into D&D for the first time in my life. And it took me an adult to get into it. I'm in the middle of a campaign with Kevin, our producer, Nate and CB and Jacob. And the idea of being able to do that digitally at my own pace sounds really intriguing, and everybody will not stop talking about how great this game is. Kevin loves it. My brother-in-law beat it,
Wow.
which just blows my mind. Like, he's already beat it. And I just keep hearing such positive things about it. I had to try it out. And I will say, number one, you said I played on the Steam Deck. I have never felt my Steam Deck get so hot.
Yeah.
Thing is like on fire on the ends of it. I almost like worried that I shouldn't be playing it for extended periods of time because it's that hot. There's a lot going on in this game. The thing I will say about Baldur's Gate 3 is that if I didn't have the limited experience with Dungeons and Dragons that I do from playing with my buddies, I would feel so lost in this game. There is no explanation. The game really just figures what 2D4 means. And, all this stuff that's going on in the background, they just kind of assume you know it. And I feel like my experience with Baldur's Gate 3 has been exactly what Kevin described Dungeons and Dragons to me when we started playing. He said, you have to get over the idea that this is a video game, which I know it sounds backwards because it is a video game right now, but it doesn't play like what we are used to experiencing in a video game. And I'm a guy that's never played Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. I've never played Divinity Original Sin. So this is the first time I've ever stepped foot into these games. And I don't know how the first two did. So if this sounds familiar, Zach, let me know. The story starts out, you create your character, and the story shockingly starts out kind of sci-fi. I was not expecting sci-fi elements in a Dungeons and Dragons world, but it's really cool. And when you come across encounters, which I'm used to having encounters in Dungeons and Dragons, every encounter that you come across feels like it could be a game over for you. You know how in JRPGs, encounters are just like, I'm going to win this thing, just how quickly can I do it?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
This does not work that way. You have so much freedom to do almost anything. If you've ever played Dungeons and Dragons, if you've got a good DM, your DM will let you do anything and try anything with a dice roll behind it. Your action wheels, like you've got one that has your magic attacks and your physical attacks. There's a second weapon wheel, or in some cases, third weapon wheel, depending on the character, that has things as simple as jump or shove or, bash. I mean, just like little things that you can do within the environment that you can just try to do. So, for instance, I came across one of my early encounters, and I was struggling fighting because I'm playing it like an RPG, and I'm doing exactly what Kevin told me not to do. I'm just standing in one place and attacking, and if I have some movement left over, I try to hide behind a tree or something, but that's pretty much all I'm doing. So I discovered that I saw this guy that I was fighting that was near the edge of a cliff. So I said, I'm going to try to shove him. I shoved him. He fell off the cliff and took a massive amount of damage. So there are things that you can do in the environment outside of just attacking and casting magic spells to be able to do. The game even, I don't know if either of you have played Dungeons & Dragons, but there's actually an inspiration point system built into this, which is something that in D&D is something that your DM grants you if you do something in terms of thinking outside the box thinking. So, for example, I have a spell in D&D called Hail of Thorns that when you attack something, it causes thorns to come out of whatever you attacked and to damage everything surrounding it. So in our D&D campaign, I didn't have anything that I could shoot except for one of my party members. So I shot one of my party members in the butt, thinking that would be a non-vital area. I actually did a called shot to hit him in the butt so that the Hail of Thorns he would get slightly damaged from my arrow, but the Hail of Thorns would actually attack the other enemies, and we actually won the encounter because of that. I earned an inspiration point. Baldur's Gate 3.
Because the thorn shot out of his butt into the bad guy?
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. I was really proud of that.
Yeah, that's good.
But anyway, you can do things like that in this game. Not that specific, like shooting in the butt. I don't think that works, but it is there. You have more freedom than I've seen in any other RPG style game. It's kind of staggering how much is going on and how much you can do. But as a guy that has never played this style of game before, I don't even know what genre you would call this. It's not a JRPG.
CRPG.
CRPG? What does that stand for?
Computer role-playing game.
Okay.
I don't know. This is what they call like old Baldur's Gate and Icewind Dale and Fallouts and stuff like that.
But I have a lot to learn because I've got the D&D experience, but I have a lot to learn on how to utilize the game in a ways to make battles seem a bit easier because I suck at man. I keep getting wiped out and having to go back to a previous save. There are dice rolls in the game, but the game hides them in combat, which kind of bummed me out a little bit because dice rolling is one of my favorite things to do. And I kept looking for an option to do the dice rolls. Like, okay, I'm going to roll for attack and see if it hits or misses, and then roll for damage. And no, they're all hidden. The game...
yeah, I feel like there should be an option to allow that. Yeah.
Right. I wonder if that'll come in a patch. My brother-in-law said that he thinks that there are mods that allow you to do that.
There's got to be, yeah.
I'm sure.
I don't even know if there's mods available on Steam Deck. I would have to research that, but I just want the dice rolls. I know that sounds like stupid, but I just love rolling dice, man. I really do.
No, I understand. I wish KOTOR had the option because all the KOTOR is also dice rolls like D&D. Nice with the Old Republic. But I would always wish there was an option where you could actually just see the dice getting rolled. I feel like that'd be fun.
Now you can see dice getting rolled on other things, like say you have to do an agility check to jump across a large gap or something like that. or if you have decisions that you have to make, because there's dialogue trees when you encounter certain people in the story. For instance, and I'm going to dance here because I don't want to really give away anything in the story, because I think the storytelling in this game is fantastic. It's really, really good storytelling. I come across a creature that was doing nefarious things in relation to me and my party. And I came across this character who was injured, and I had the option to kill him or try to get him to talk, or, and me being the inquisitive type, I wanted to find out what's going on. Why did this creature do what he did? And so I kind of let it go, and this character started to mess with my mind, and I kept, I tried to fight it, but I still was trying to inquire, and it gave me the option to finally pull away. I was like, all right, I gotta get out of this, otherwise he's gonna kill me. So then it pulls up the dice roll mechanic, and it says you have to hit a 5. All you gotta do is hit a 5, and then you succeed in this thing. I rolled a 2, and it was immediate game over. So you can literally get a game over from a dice roll if you select certain dialogue options and you roll poorly. What are the chances I'm going to roll?
That kind of reminds me of Disco Elysium.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't played that one, but that game appears to be a very similar silent game. So, yeah. I'm enjoying it.
How's the sex?
Actually, when I first started playing this game, I was on an airplane to New Zealand, and there were kids everywhere. So I had to turn the nudity and stuff off because I didn't want some kid to peek over. So I have no idea what my character's genitalia looks like. I know you're really curious.
I kind of am. I mean, they got dicks and vags in this game, bro.
I know. I'm gonna have to give you a later update on that one because I don't know.
Screenshots, of course.
Well, now I have an update.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw a clip of a fire demon saying, "I want to ride you until you see stars," and I said, "This must be game of the year, probably."
Well, the big thing going around, I don't know if you guys have been reading about it, is that there's a cave that you come across, and there will be a orc having a bugbear bent over and is doing the bugbear. Or not bugbear. It's some other creature, but the completely different species. You just walk in and I'm going at it, and then you can react. You can that's a D&D thing, right? You can react.
So. Ask to join in.
I think I saw one of my friends took a screenshot of that moment, and she showed all the dialogue options, and one was just making fun of them, or it was something like an encounter like that.
Yeah, I want an option that says join in. Roll for agility.
Roll for persuasion. So that's fun. But the question you guys haven't asked yet, which I assumed was going to be one of the first questions you asked, is what character I rolled. I went with a wizard because my character in D&D is a ranger.
Yeah, I just assumed you were going to replicate your D&D character. So I didn't. That's
what Kevin thought too. Yeah. But I kind of wanted to go another direction just to experience, because I've been intrigued by the idea of being a wizard. But I'm struggling because wizards don't have very high armor class or HP, which is making things very difficult for me. But my wizard is a African American wizard with long white hair, with black highlights, and he's got a real deep voice. I really kind of like the character, and I'm intrigued to see where it goes. So, but I suck at this game. I have to be clear. I don't understand what I'm doing wrong. I actually texted Kevin and said, "Dude, I need some guidance." And he's like, "Well, where are you? What encounter are you talking about?" And I described the characters that I was fighting, and he's like, "Dude, do you have any idea how many yellow women with long pointy ears there are in this world? You gotta be a little more specific than that." Or I said, "Oh, I'm fighting this magician that's firing fireballs at me." He's like, "Dude, so I don't know. I just don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm enjoying it, but I'm struggling. I'm very, very much struggling, but I think a lot of that is just because of inexperience."
Well, it probably doesn't help that you're playing a class that can die pretty quickly.
Right. And apparently I've been told that once you get to camp, you can actually switch classes or switch characters if you want to. I haven't decided if I want to do that because I kind of like the look of my character. He's actually of noble descent, which was an interesting way for me to go, I thought, because you just think of everybody being like, my character in D&D was raised in the woods and, has all this kind of stuff going on. This is a former noble that is turned wizard, which I thought was a fun way to go, but I don't know.
Maybe you just got to be a ranger, man. Play to your strength.
That's what I gotta do. Maybe, just keep going with Hunter's Mark and doing all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but you can still have the same look though. Just make that guy a ranger.
Maybe that's what I could do. If I can do that, maybe I will. Just have a whole new. I'm only a level 2 character right now, so.
I think it's got a pretty low cap. Isn't it like low cap of 12 or something like that?
I don't know, but I know that it's a slow grind to get there. I think I was talking to Paul Hine, who is obsessed with this game, by the way, from our community. He loves this game. He is, I think he was like level 5, and he still hadn't completed Act 1. But he's also doing like everything before moving the main story forward. So, again, you can play this game whenever you want to, which is just the freedom and the scope of this game is amazing. I'm enjoying it, but I'm terrible at it. So, that is Baldur's Gate 3. It is only on PC right now, but it's coming, right? It's coming to PlayStation. Oh, have you heard about the weird thing about why it's not on Xbox, by the way?
Because it can't get split screen on Series S.
Just on the Series S. They can't do it. They can do it on the X, but Xbox has this parity clause that they said if they have anything, it has to be able to be done on both consoles.
Well, that is what they sold the Series S on. They said it would be able to do everything the X could.
I know, but I feel like I don't know. Oh, the other thing,
but I think the problem would be if let's say they're like, actually in this case we'll let it slide or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't that kind of open them up to a lawsuit of people being, well, I bought the Series S, expecting that it would be
play Baldur's Gate 3,
right? And now I can't. But there would be no way to prove they didn't, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because they promised there would be feature parity.
The other thing that I found out about this game is that this game is co-op. So,
which is crazy. Well, that's the split screen, yeah.
Right. But that would be a crazy way to play the game because you're talking a lot of hours, right? And this is not a jump in, jump out game like a Borderlands or something like that where you can just kind of match up or Diablo. You would have to play through the entire campaign with somebody, I would assume, because you're playing with characters. Right. I'm not gonna go start a campaign with you, with your character in my party, and then, well, you're not available tonight, so I'm gonna go play by myself and roll with your character. That shouldn't be a thing, right?
Yeah, I don't know how it works. I mean, I do think the idea of like playing split screen with your partner all the way through a D&D video game campaign, that sounds pretty fun, though.
It does sound pretty cool. Or if you could do like all 4 people in the same party and just roll, like play D&D but online.
Yeah.
Sounds
I like that.
Really cool. Oh, what is interesting too is I'm just, after playing D&D for so long, just seeing things in the world that I recognize from playing in my real campaign, like city titles or city names, and just skill sets. Like CB's character in our campaign uses a spell called Shatter. And I've been imagining what Shatter looks like in my brain for the past 3 years. And now to actually see it come to life in video game form is kind of rad. You know what I mean?
Dude, it's hard to believe you've been playing that campaign for 3 years.
Yeah, with only one person that left. Like we've been playing with the same players the entire time except for one person. So
wow, that's better turnover than most jobs.
Right.
True.
Well, actually, we did finish an arc. Like we finished one like main storyline. We just rolled into another one with the same characters. So
okay,
it's not.
You guys are building.
When I say campaign,
universe.
Yeah, it's all the same universe. So anyway, I have gone on and on about.
Do you recommend it?
I recommend it if you've played D&D and you've played the other ones, you probably already bought this game, right? It's like the hot game of the year.
If you're
so I'm not gonna sell anybody. If you've played D&D, yeah, you're gonna do it. If you've never played D&D, I'd say watch some gameplay first, because it is a very complicated game. If you don't understand what all of the stats mean and what character builds mean and don't know how the world works, I feel like you're just gonna be completely lost. I'm somewhat lost, and I have. So yeah, it's an easy recommend if you're a lover of Dungeons and Dragons. If not, get some info. But the nice thing is that this is a $60 game, and it works at launch. I think this is what everybody's been praising on our social media. There's no DLC. There's no bugs. There's no glitches. There's it's nuts. How
no
great it
physical version on PlayStation though. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
Oh, they
Somebody
haven't lied about the reason why yet, so that's nice.
Yeah. Somebody posted in our Facebook group a video of this guy talking about how other devs. There's this whole debate going on about how whether or not developers should be scared of this game, or people are saying like, don't expect this quality of a game from every AAA developer. And this guy is like, why not? And then one of the points that he makes in that video is, for some reason, the online store always works perfectly in every one of these games. They can get that to work every single time. And I was like, that's a really freaking good point.
Yeah. No
If
flaws
you get the store to
taking
work,
your money.
Yeah.
No, and that debate is annoying because I think it's just a miscommunication. Because I think the developers are hearing, we want these giant, massive, games with all these options. But really what the consumers are saying is we just want the game that's done when we buy it.
Right. Yeah. Just, nothing you have to download beforehand to make it work. No patches. Right. I mean, there's going to be patches, I would assume.
Yeah, and look at how they've been rewarded for just being honest and putting out a full game.
Yeah, and it's I have a feeling like this is going to be at the top of a lot of people's Game of the Year list. I don't know if it will be on mine just because I haven't played enough of it, and I'm struggling, not because the game sucks, but because I suck. So, we'll have to see how that goes. But yeah.
And to think, man, like it's not like Wizards of the Coast put money into this. They got the license from Wizards of the Coast,
Right.
So Larian really put their money where their mouth is on this one.
Exactly. Kudos to them, and I'm really happy for them. All right, Alyssa, you have been playing a new game as well, which I am very intrigued to hear about, called Ashina, the Red Witch, which is you're playing on an Xbox, but it's on Switch, PlayStation, Windows, and Vita. Yeah. It's crazy.
Hell yeah.
It comes from developer Stronga Games and Ratalaika Games. Publisher is Grab the Games, and it was provided to us by PR Hound. But here's the thing. This thing has Ratalaika on it, which whenever I see that publisher, I immediately assume this is a 3-hour game. But this one looks like a little bit like a JRPG with pixel graphics. Am I on the right track here or no?
It does have the pixel graphics. It is a point-and-click adventure.
Oh,
and
really?
I believe it is around 3 hours long. But
okay, so I did have that right.
I am in love with this game. It is both adorable and creepy. You could tell that Stronga Games, which is actually just a one-man team, which is impressive to me, really drew inspiration from Studio Ghibli films, especially Spirited Away and Howl's Moving Castle. It's just a wonderful, wonderful experience so far. I think I've put an hour and a half, 2 hours into it, so almost finished with it. You play as Ashina, I think that's how you say it, but she goes by Ash. She gets transported to a spirit world because a ghost comes into the current world and steals her mother's pendant because her mother died a long time ago. She follows him, ends up in a spirit world trapped, and she only has a few hours before she is stuck in that spirit world, so she has to get her pendant and leave. But, of course, events happen that she can't get the pendant back immediately, and you're chasing this ghost all across this world. And it's just, it just reminds me so much of Studio Ghibli films. And then there's a little bit of a creep factor. It's not anything major, but it's just creepy enough that it's like, oh, wasn't expecting that at that moment. But I'm really liking it, and I like this kind of point-and-click adventure game because it's more on the simple side. You go and find items, and you might not know what to do with that item at that time, but then you meet a character and they say, oh, I need a bottle of wine, and you have that bottle of wine, so you're like, here you go, and they help you further progress. I
had no idea this is a point-and-click adventure from the trailer.
You can't tell it from the trailer.
Yeah, I assumed it was just a horror game made on RPG Maker. It had those vibes too.
Yeah, that's a really apt description of what I thought this game was.
Yeah, like, I thought it was going to be an RPG as well, but it's a point-and-click adventure. I'm not disappointed, though, because I'm really enjoying the story. You're trying to also save your sister at the same time as you're trying to find this pendant. And just the little nods and touches to, I'm assuming, Studio Ghibli, because it feels very inspired by Studio Ghibli. And also, there's just nods to Japanese culture. There's even a nod to a very famous Japanese urban legend that isn't explicitly stated, but as soon as a character says, if this woman asks you if she's pretty, just say, meh. I'm like, oh, I know the urban legend, and then you meet the character, and it's like, yep. It was just really cool.
That's cool. I'm glad you're liking this game. I was surprised you wanted to review this one, honestly.
I don't know, something about it just intrigued me in the trailer, and I'm so glad I pushed for it, or, asked for it, because I'm really loving it. And this is actually a prequel to a game that was already released called My Big Sister. And
I assume you're going to try that one next?
Yeah, I really want to play it. I think that one's only on Steam, but I think it's only $5, so I'm definitely going to do that. And then there's a prequel to this game as well, so I gotta play the prequel to this game now too. I am now a Stronga Games fan, and I haven't even finished this game yet, but
nice.
I love it.
By the way, this is also why Alyssa consistently beats me in the number of reviews she does. So she gets these like 2-3 hour games.
That's true.
Meanwhile I'm plowing through. I haven't written the review for Final Fantasy 16 yet, but yeah. I mean, I put 12-15 hours in Ember Knights. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No one's making you pick those games.
I know. I'll get caught up someday.
Well, to be fair, I don't usually know what the length of the games will be until I get them, and
that's
usually
true.
Look up how long to beat if it's already out. Like this game was. This was already out on PC and other platforms before Xbox and PlayStation.
Gotcha. So clearly you recommend Ashina, the Red Witch.
Oh, definitely. Especially if you've played the previous game, I would say you might want to play this to figure out what happened beforehand.
But now you've got the unique perspective of doing it in the opposite order that everybody else may have. So, yeah, I'll be curious to hear your thoughts on when you play the other one.
Oh, I definitely will be.
Nice.
And Scott, you also played Super Catboy, which, from the trailer, it looks exactly like what the title says. It just looks like a cat that is platforming.
Yeah, it is. I honestly don't really understand what's going on in this story, because the cutscenes at the beginning of this game make this look like hardcore intense, like there's this Catboy with superpowers, or not superpowers, he's just got a cape. Let's be honest.
We all know capes equal superpowers.
Yeah, right? But he's like grown in a test tube or something, or like he's in this like tank looking thing, whatever, in a spaceship, and suddenly crash lands on the ground where he meets, this quirky girl that is shooting a machine gun. Like, it's just very, very weird.
Sounds like a normal day to me.
Right. And you're basically just stopping this nefarious bad guy that's trying to take over the world, and you go through these platforming worlds. I do got to mention, I was provided a copy of this game. I forgot the name of it, who it was, but it wasn't even the PR rep that gave it to me. Grant Henry gave me a copy of this game, the guy that does the music for our podcast, because his music, he's actually written like 4 tracks of music on this game. So I want to just get that out there, just full disclaimer. That's why I tried this game out, and the music is super good, obviously, because Grant did it. But this game, from a gameplay perspective, it looks and feels like one of those 16-bit platformers that we all played in the 90s. I think the way I described it in my review is it comes across as one of those licensed games, like based on a property, like a movie or TV show or something that was popular in the 90s. But this one isn't based on anything. You know what I mean? It looks and plays like one of those style games, but it's not anything that you're going to recognize the characters from. I really like the animation and all that, but the gameplay is very simple. You're doing some simple platforming. You have a gun for some reason, a 6-shooter. So Zack has to play this one.
What? I'm in.
No, it's not actually a 6-shooter, but it's a pistol. We'll say that. And but you're fighting dogs. All the enemies are genetically engineered dogs that are just chasing after you, and each different breed of dog has a specific type of attack or look, and it's just kind of crazy. But you can shoot them, or you can jump on their heads, or you can attack them with your claws. That's the extent of this game's what you do in the basic levels. It does mix it up a little bit. There's one section where you're on a motorcycle trying to knock off dogs off of motorcycles. There's a brawler section that feels like a Streets of Rage type thing. But I hate to dog on a game, but I was ready for this one to be over the time I got to the end. The bosses feel very generic. They've got some very simple patterns. But and then there's sections towards the end that are, one hit kill type stuff, which I just let me get through the game. Don't put this in front of me. And then it does the Mega Man thing where you have to fight all the bosses at the end before you get the final boss.
Oh no.
Oh.
And those bosses aren't super fun, and I was. But look, this game is $10. You know what I mean? This is you're getting what you paid for. I'm not saying it's a poorly made game. It's a game that feels like it was meant to feel like you were back in the 90s playing one of those games. So if the developer was doing that intentionally, I think they did a solid job. It's just not a game that it's not a part of my history that I really want to go back and revisit to play this old school type of game. You know what I mean? Unless I had attachment to it from either the product that it's based on or because I loved playing it when I was a kid. You know what I mean? Like, I played MC Kids on NES back in the day. It was like a McDonald's game that was not a very good game, but I loved it when I was a kid. And going back and playing it and reliving it is kind of fun. But so if that's what they're going for, they nailed it. But if you have no interest in doing that, you're not gonna find a lot of fun here. So this is Super Catboy. I'm playing it on Steam. It's only on PC, but you can play it on Linux or Mac as well. The developer is Pixel Pogo, and the publisher is Assemble Entertainment. So there are the games that we've been catching up on. Want to remind everybody very quickly about ways that you can interact with the Gaming Outsider on social media. First off, Facebook. You can find us at facebook.com/groups/the GoCast. We've got new members over there, Landon Poindexter and AJ Wydell. Welcome to the community. Hope you're enjoying it over there. Also, our Discord server is still live and thriving. We've got a great community over there. Be sure to check that out. Also, I haven't mentioned this on the show, but we have been on Instagram. We are now on, Threads. We're on Threads, and we're also on Blue Sky. All of them can be found at the GoCast if you'd like to follow us on one of those. If you're on one of those platforms, and we'd appreciate the follow. It's always at the GoCast. Also, wherever you listen to the show, if you can drop us a review, specifically Apple Podcasts, that helps us get the word out there. We will read your review on the show. Wherever you listen, though, please check it out and share with your friends. Also, our website is thegamingoutsider.com. There you can find all of our written content and episodes. And you can find Alyssa's written review of Death Becomes You, my review of Viewfinder, Ember Knights, also Super Catboy, which I talked about, Zack's review of Dust and Neon, and Alyssa, you also just published your review for
This Way Madness Lies.
This Way Madness Lies. So those are all available on the website as we speak. With that, let's go ahead and jump into our From the Outside In topic. This week's topic was another suggestion from a listener. I don't know his real name, but somebody on Discord that goes by the name Machine261. I'm going to assume it's Bert Kreischer. Let's just go with that. He asked us to talk about our favorite twists in video game narratives. We're going to do our best to be as vague as possible so as not to spoil it for those who haven't played certain titles. With that said, some are hard to avoid in basically common knowledge depending on how old the game is, but we'll do the best we can. For instance, the big twist in Final Fantasy VII, I assume we'll mention, but we're going to still kind of keep it vague because I know one listener in particular that has not played that game yet and is currently playing it. So I'm going to kind of avoid that one if at all possible. But before we get to the actual ones on our list and on our listeners' lists, do you guys find yourself surprised by twists in games anymore? Or have you been playing for so long that you just almost always see them coming? I want to know your thoughts on that.
I always like being surprised by a twist if it's well implemented in the story and the narrative. Usually I can see them coming from a mile away, and that doesn't just apply to video games, it applies to books, movies, etc. But when a twist can really just, I don't know, can't even think of the words, blow my mind basically without me seeing it coming, I really appreciate that. but it's very rare that happens.
I agree. It very rarely happens for me.
But when it does, I remember that game pretty much forever.
Yeah, it's always super fun when it happens, and I hate saying this because it makes me sound like a snob. Because I hate it when people are like, "Oh, horror is dead. Nothing is scary anymore." Like, just shut up. Like, I just really hate. That's not what I mean to come across as. It's just that I just, I've seen so many movies and played so many games and read so many books that often I just kind of see it coming because a lot of the times it's foreshadowed.
Mm-hmm.
It's really fun when you are surprised because it's not foreshadowed. That's when I think a twist is done well, when it kind of comes out of right field without just being shock factor twist. Like what was that game we played on Game Pass? Something Minutes.
12 minutes? Are you kidding me? 12 minutes? You trying to get me triggered right now?
Yeah, you're trying to get Zack upset.
Like that twist was just there just for pure shock factor, and they never addressed it.
They did nothing with it. Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah. So I don't like that, but when something actually does come out of right field in a good way without foreshadowing anything, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember the last big twist I was surprised by.
Oh.
But I can't. Because I'm sorry, just talking about video games, of course. Because I feel like there used to be quite a bit, right?
Not as much in video games. I feel like it was always a big thing in movies.
Yeah.
And we were lucky if we got one in a video game. But doing my research and digging, I was like, oh, yeah, I forgot about that one. So.
Well, I mean, there's definitely some, I guess, I don't know. There's a twist at the beginning of The Last of Us Part 2.
That's true.
I mean, there's a twist. Yeah. That's a pretty big twist.
Right. And you're easy to see, like, well, of course that would happen in hindsight or whatever, but, I didn't expect that to happen that early.
Oh, I didn't either.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I feel like maybe that one, but then apart from that, I can't really, I guess the FF7 remake.
Yeah.
It has a pretty good twist.
In that it's just like the story is going a different direction than the original.
Yeah,
like nobody saw that coming.
Hard to talk about that one though.
Yeah.
That it is, that remake may be a bit of a loose term.
Yeah.
But apart from that though, I feel like there were a decent amount, like the early 2010s. I feel like Dead Space or other ones we'll talk about later. But I'm trying to think of like recent ones, and maybe it's just because games. This is gonna sound like old man yelling at a cloud again, but because games are so long that the twists that they do have, like God of War 2018, right, has what they think is a twist at the end, but because the game was so long and it had so many hints and foreshadowings pointing towards it, I would be surprised if you didn't see the twist coming.
Yeah, it's hard to have much of an impact. Yeah,
it's hard to restrain yourself for 20 hours of writing as opposed to 6. Because
that's a really good point, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Because I mean, I feel like the shorter games are more on the indie market nowadays, and I feel like I'm not knocking indie developers by any means, but I feel like those aren't as story focused as gameplay focused because they're smaller developers. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and all the AAA ones are getting these just super long games like you're getting. So yeah, too much time. You're not as invested. You're invested from a time standpoint, but not as invested in an attention standpoint.
Right. Well, and again, long games can be great. Don't get me wrong. But I think of God of War because they're steeped in Norse mythology, and if you know Norse mythology, like because they go so deep into it, and there are certain characters missing, it's pretty easy to guess where they might be in relation to the story. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but if it was shorter and tighter, like God of War, the original, right, a 5 or 6 hour game, has a hell of a twist.
Oh man, I didn't even think about that one. That is a great twist.
Yes,
but it's also like just the game's ending, right?
Right.
And when I think of writing stories, I always think of the twist being like before the climax. You know what I mean? Like right before the climax. But that one just ends with the twist. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's good.
Well, actually, we might be thinking of a different twist in the first God of War then.
I'm thinking of how do we dance about this? the reason for Kratos looking the way that he does.
Oh yeah, that's a little bit before the end. I thought,
Is it?
Yeah, but that is the twist I was thinking of.
Okay.
But there is also the twist of his reward / punishment for killing the God of War, which is also a good twist.
Yeah, that's a good one.
David Jaffe knew what he was doing back then.
I want to go back and play those games again.
Yeah, I love those games. They're great.
They feel so good.
So to me, I don't feel like I'm smarter than the game. I think the games are just maybe not as cleverly hiding their twists as they used to, maybe, or
too much foreshadowing.
Yeah, and again, I think it's hard to do that with length. Which maybe that's why I was smart of The Last of Us Part 2 to just do it up front, because it was like a 30-hour game, but their big twist was right at the beginning of the game.
Well, it's easy to do a twist in a sequel, right? Because you're already into the story.
Right.
You know what I mean? You couldn't do a brand new IP and do a twist like that at the very beginning.
Right, because it would be meaningless. Yeah.
Right. I mean, if you think about it, there's not in the exact same way, but there's a twist like that in Metal Gear Solid 2: Sons of Liberty.
Gameplay similarities. Yeah.
Well, no, I meant in terms of character.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Which was a decision, and it made a lot of people angry. But you couldn't start a game like that. You couldn't market a game with a character that nobody knows, and then do what you did in Last of Us Part 2. You know what I mean? Look at me dance.
No. I'm trying to help you not say too much here.
I know, right? So, man, that's Last of Us Part 2 is another one I feel like I need to play again.
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah.
So
amazing
good.
Game.
We're gonna talk about it more. Spoiler alert when we get to my list. But I asked both of you, right, Alyssa?
Yeah.
Surprise. Mm-hmm. Okay. What are some of your most memorable narrative twists in games over the years? We're gonna start with Zack this time.
Oh boy. There's plenty. Let's see. Metal Gear Solid 3, I think, has a great twist near the end of the game when you
love it.
Yeah.
You learn certain characters, loyalties, etc. I mean, obviously, it's hard not to say BioShock.
Of course.
Yeah, that's what I put for the picture when I posted this question on social media.
It's probably the most famous twist.
Because did anybody see that coming? Like
No.
that one wasn't.
No, and that's the one where it's been constantly in your face the whole time, right? When you replay it, you're like, geez, and then
How did I not figure this out?
You feel like you're getting beat over the head with it, but you have the game is very clever in that way. I already mentioned Last of Us Part 2, FF7 remake. I think Braid has a pretty exceptional twist.
That was on my list.
So I'm sorry to take that. Boy, I mean, there's just I'm trying to think of more recent ones, but I kind of feel like
I've got one that I'm shocked is not on your list. It's relatively recent.
Yeah.
Doki Doki Literature Club.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I mean, that whole game is the twist, right? Like that's
right. Yeah, little subversion. Oh, you know what actually has a really good twist at the very end? Darksiders.
I never finished it, so I guess I need to get on that.
And it leads into a real like fist pump in the air ending that has gone unresolved ever since. But I'll be damned if it wasn't a good man. You can't talk about them though.
I've got another one on my list that I was expecting to be on your list.
Okay.
That is somewhat more recent. It's within the last 10 years. Assassin's Creed 3 had an opening twist.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
which goes back to like.
As I said, I feel like that's one of those ones like Metal Gear Solid 2 where it's so ingrained that I didn't even really think of it as a twist.
Yeah,
but of course it is. Yeah,
but it's also an example of doing it with a new character that they figured out a way to do that. That thing I just said you can't do.
Right, they did it. You're absolutely right.
They did it, but it's also a third game in a series, so you couldn't have started that game. You know what I mean?
Oh my god, man! The twist at the end of Assassin's Creed 2.
Oh yeah.
When you find out who Minerva's talking to, oh my god, that was crazy. God,
dude, I will never forget that when I did a what
right
at the end of that game.
I mean, and then there's a twist at the end of Brotherhood. Assassin's Creed used to be pretty cool, man.
Mm-hmm.
It was, yeah.
But they really gave up on that. The whole
Man,
being cool
did I tell
thing.
you I recently bought that trilogy or whatever on
The
Xbox
Ezio
as
the
well?
collection?
Ezio trilogy?
Yeah, because it was on sale, and I'm like, I'll have time to play those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
is the first game still stranded on PS3 and 360?
To my knowledge,
I
yeah.
think so.
That's every other one has been ported over, but not the first. That's crazy.
No.
Couldn't they just like do that and like fix some of that? Well, I guess
There's nothing to fix. Just bring it over, baby. That game's great.
that game was pretty repetitive, man. Just did the same thing over and over and over again. But the dialogue was great.
Yeah.
And I think Altair might be the coolest assassins too, by the way.
He's pretty darn cool, man.
Yeah. All right,
He's
Alyssa,
ice
what about
cold.
you? Did you have any?
I have a few. First off, Deadly Premonition.
All
The
right.
twist in that. Can't say too much. I know a lot of people haven't played that game, but there was a twist that I didn't really see coming. And I'm like, okay, that was great. I'll just leave it at that. But I still want more people to play this game.
You're talking about Deadly Premonition?
Yeah, the first one. There is a sequel, but
Oh, I've never played it. I always thought that in my mind, Deadly Premonition was a game that people said universally was a bad game. But you both like talk about it like it's just this great game.
I
so
mean,
I'm-
it's not a great game gameplay wise or graphically, but
Yeah.
it's just special.
Come on, you said Deadly Premonition?
Yeah.
I haven't really played much of it, Scott, but
oh,
you know, Sterling gave it a 10 out of 10 for Destructoid back in the day.
That's true.
wow. I think
That's
I'm
something.
confusing it with the Fahrenheit.
Yeah,
that-
game's
is-
that game's cool.
Is it the same
I
developer?
like that one as well. No, that's Quantic Dream.
Yeah, not
Oh,
at all
okay.
the same. But I do really want to play Deadly Premonition. Makes you feel I've played like 6 hours of it and loved it, and I don't know why I just never finished it. So.
Didn't they remaster it? Or like
On PS3 with the director's
Oh,
cut,
so-
which I played, and I would recommend
Well,
playing that version.
And then it's on Switch as well.
But that's
not the
the original
Regular,
version.
yeah.
They improved the gameplay a little bit with the director's cut and added some cutscenes in that weren't in the previous version, so it's a little easier to play.
Why did they do that? Why did they not release the full version on Switch?
I don't know.
So strange.
I really wish they would release it on PS5 and Xbox Series X and S.
You know what game has great twists?
Hmm.
Near Automata, but there's about
Yeah.
14 of them.
That's true.
I don't know what they are yet.
Yeah.
Nope, you sure don't.
And then also Spec Ops: The Line, that blew me away.
Yeah, that would have been on my list.
Oh,
I was saving it
That
for.
is on my list. I just forgot to say it. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Don't be sorry, I got to say it.
And that was one
Yeah.
that one that got me too.
Oh yeah, me too.
Like they did a really good job of getting me with that one. So kudos.
And that was crazy because they really did foreshadow it too.
They
Like,
did.
You should
Yeah.
have seen it coming, but
And I
was
didn't. I didn't see it
yeah,
coming
A
at all.
Sixth Sense moment. Like, why didn't I see that
Yeah.
coming?
dude, Nolan North's performance in that game is unbelievable.
It was really good.
Was.
And just like how he just gets ragged and war torn as the game goes on, and when what is happening to him just continues to happen, but you don't realize. Oh man,
Right? All right, and the game is so smart because even your like finishing melee moves change throughout the game as he
Mhm.
starts losing it more. Oh, what a game, dude!
And the game is actually fun to play. Like
It
you know what I
is.
mean?
Yeah.
They managed to make a competent shooter. Oh, so good.
Why
And one
is-
of the coolest opening like menu screens too.
Oh yeah, the Hendrix
Yeah,
song in
and
it,
Star
yeah.
Spangled Banner and
Flags upside down.
great game. I'll bet that would be. I bet you that was controversial. I don't remember it being controversial, but
It probably would
now.
be
Yeah, you're
today.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, you could
so woke, bro.
Yeah, I know, right? Any others,
Oh, they-
Alyssa?
America's a bad guy. This game sucks.
I had a couple others I was going to mention. Inside also messed with me when that certain moment happened.
Whatever happened at the end of that game happened.
Yeah. I'm like, what? Huh? So that was effective because I wasn't expecting that. And then I'm just going to say pretty much every Sam Barlow game of recent times,
Mm-hmm.
the twists have always gotten me. I know for Zack, it was kind of ruined with one of the games
Yeah,
because you searched a certain term.
so the first word I searched
Yeah.
kind of gave it away. Yeah,
But I
Oh,
just I
the
love
one
unwrap-
thing that you
Yeah.
the one thing that you hate that they do in video games and movies, and they did it.
Yeah.
because I had to check for it. I was like, surely this isn't the twist. Oh, there it is.
So the game was over in like 5 minutes for you?
Yeah, I was like, this game sucks.
But I actually really just enjoy like trying to find what's happening in those games. I know they're not everyone's cup of tea, but I really enjoy unraveling those.
Nice.
I still think the twist in Ghost Rider for PS2 was better.
Why are you... Did you like recently play that game or something that's on your brain?
No, I just always I was just think Sam Barlow is funny because he also wrote like Silent Hill Origins, which is great. Like he has a phenomenal, career, but then also Ghost Rider for PS2. It just stands out, I guess, to me. It's just funny.
Nice. Do you have any others, Alyssa, or are you out?
That was all the ones I had on my list that weren't mentioned previously.
Okay. You guys talked about some of mine already. And I'm going to throw one out there that Alyssa needs to play, which is free. Okay. And we've talked about it and tried to get you to play this one before. You need to play Frog Fractions.
Okay. I thought you were going to say Doki Doki, which I actually have a physical copy of that, and I still haven't played it. Well, I'm ashamed of myself.
That's crazy,
here's the thing. Doki Doki is a game I think you should play, but I should also tell you, that is, because you mentioned this on a lot of games that you talk about, that is a trigger warning game.
Sells me on it.
Okay. All right. So you need to remedy that like as soon as possible. I don't know. I'm shocked that you haven't played that. I've got
the physical copy too. I'm like, why haven't I done it?
Dude, it's a great physical copy too. It's got a little note from Monica.
Yeah. And you need to play Frog Fractions as well, especially if you like
math. If you like math.
I'm terrible at math, but I will play this game.
But it's an educational math game, so it actually will help you with.
Okay,
math.
It'll make me smarter. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Another one I put in is the original Resident Evil. When I didn't see it coming when I was a kid, the fact that somebody was actually a bad guy. Do you know where we're going with this?
Am I being Wesker?
Yeah,
you can say Wesker, right?
Okay.
He's like he's on all the posters as the bad guy for all the rest of the games. I think that's true to say.
But in the original game, he just looked like a cool dude with sunglasses, and I had no reason to believe he wasn't a member of STARS. And then that was a really cool moment for me. I know you mentioned God of War having a great twist, and you're saying that the twist in the 2019 God of War wasn't that great.
2018, yeah.
I'm sorry, what year? 18?
2018, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, my bad. I will say there is a twist in the sequel that is dang good.
Okay.
Did you finish that one, Alyssa?
I did.
Do you remember? You're not remembering the twist that I'm talking about?
I'm trying to remember.
Guess it wasn't that good.
Man, that was one that got me, and I wish I could talk about it because it totally surprised me. Did not see it coming when it happened. I was like, no way.
Were you surprised by the twist in the first God of War or the reboot God of War?
I'm trying to remember what twist you're talking about. Are you talking about acquiring something?
No, that was cool as hell.
Yeah,
no,
it was.
I'm talking about the identity of a child.
Oh yeah, I did not see that coming. But again, I don't know the lore. You know what I mean? Like none of that is. I've not read mythology at all.
Right.
So it was. If you had read that, you would, but I had no idea.
See, I still feel like the game was hitting you over the head with it, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, and we'll talk afterwards.
Okay.
my thought process, because I just wanted to make 100% sure that we are not spoiling it for anybody. But there's another one I had, which is one that Zack, I need you to play, Far Cry 5, because the twist in that game is phenomenal. It is, and it is so good. It does something to you, because when this twist happens, the game does a good job of just visually just sitting there and letting you marinate on what just happened in a way that I feel like I have seen not done in games before. Would you agree, Alyssa?
Yeah, I would totally agree.
And the other one is a game you already mentioned, but it was a different twist, is Last of Us Part 2. Not the twist at the beginning, but the twist at the halfway point of that game was a brave decision to do. And I thought it was one of the most effective twists. It's not so much in a story element, it's kind of in a gameplay element and story element.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
because to me that game did something. That game said something about perspective and empathy.
Empathy, yeah.
That just I think is so powerful, and I feel like not enough people are talking about that. Most people talk about the twist that happens at the beginning and the relationship between Joel and Ellie.
And I think the game kind of proves its point with how angry people got over the first twist.
Yeah,
right. And their total lack of understanding the second twist is kind of emblematic of today's lack of empathy. Actually,
that's a very salient point, man, and I couldn't agree more. So, and that's all I had on my list. I had the entire Metal Gear Solid or the Metal Gear series, just because I feel like that whole game is nothing but twists, whether it be gameplay or narrative. It's there's just chock full of them, and I've only played the first two. So.
Yeah, I do think 3 and 2 are the best ones, though.
Yeah,
I would agree.
I mean, yeah.
So that is the twist that we had. Let's go to the community. I'm going to start over on Facebook with Zack.
Are you okay? Kyle Boggs writes in, for whatever reason, BioShock sticks out for me. That's all I'm going to read here, right? Because the rest of it gives it away.
Oh yeah. I didn't even. A lot of these I copied and pasted without reading. If I did read that one. I just forgot that we had spoiled it, though. But yeah.
Though Sean Fuller does follow up with, would you kindly?
Yeah.
Which is just a nice thing to say to a BioShock fan, of course.
I use would you kindly in like every email I send to publishers asking for copies of games.
Has anyone ever
used
commented
it on me
it?
before?
Have I?
Oh, really?
Sometimes I do it without thinking about it, but when I send a request, I'm always like, would you kindly consider us as a potential outlet? Whatever. Always, would you kindly? Nobody's ever commented on it, though.
Send that to Ken Levine.
I'm sure he's never heard that.
Yeah, would you kindly let me get a code for Judas?
Yeah, right. All right, so yeah, we talked BioShock to death, but Kyle, thank you for the comment. Alyssa, you want to do the next one?
Sean Coates writes, this feels like an obvious one, but the flood in the original Halo instantly comes to mind. Amazingly, back in the day, I paid absolutely no attention to the Halo franchise, that is until the late 2000s when a buddy of mine gave me his Xbox. Even though I was very late to the Halo party and 3 games have been released at this point, that moment in the original Halo was still a left turn I never saw coming.
That was a good one, and I'm surprised I didn't think of that one, because I didn't. That just turned that whole story on its head. Like, you thought you were doing one thing.
And the way they do it with that cool cutscene of the Marines' first-person cam footage, as well as like a little slow horror reveal. It's pretty cool. Yeah,
it was awesome.
Learn the Halo ring's true purpose and all that. It's good stuff.
Yeah. He's got a little bit more in his comment, too, Alyssa.
Oh, I missed it? Let's see.
Yeah.
Oh, how did I miss the honorable mention?
I don't know.
Metroid. You mean to say I've been playing as a beep this whole... Is that... Should I say
you say girl? Yeah, well, everybody
as
knows
a girl
as a
this
girl.
whole time. I'm sure that moment blew every 8-year-old boy's mind back in the day.
I thought when you were going to edit yourself that I had a different copy of the format and it said the B word or something. I'm like...
No, I was just like... Well, I didn't know. Like,
No. I mean, it's like...
that didn't know that.
It's super common knowledge that Samus is a woman. I mean,
know,
like...
Well, also is the twist in the original FF7, but I'm not allowed to say that on this podcast.
Hey.
That's what I had in mind. I'm like, there might be one person out there that doesn't know.
I wonder if there's any Star Wars podcasts out there where the host restricts anybody on talking about Luke's parents.
As long as you don't mention it here, man. As long as you don't mention it here.
Ridiculous.
But yeah, as a kid, that blew my mind. I was like, no way. I've been playing as a woman this entire time, and not in a bad way. Like, screw this game. I'm done. I'm not. That's not what I mean.
Dude,
it just I had no idea.
Could you imagine the first Metroid releasing today and had that twist?
Oh man,
this game tricked me into being woke.
Oh dude, I want someone to do it now. I like it.
Right.
It'd be hard to get away with now, but I mean,
we'd have to make it like super cool. It'd have to be like a new Halo game or whatever.
Yeah,
and
just
here's
have
a new
really
Spartan
cool armor set. You can't see who it is, and they come out of the armor set.
Right, they have a voice filter this deep voice, but then it's a woman at the end.
Yeah.
Did you know? I'm going to go ahead and spoil this here because of no one's ever going to get a chance to play it. But Dead Space, the old mobile game on iOS, that's long since been delisted. They do that twist. You play as an engineer or a security guard in armor the entire game, and she has a voice filter on, so it sounds like garbled or whatever, and then it's a girl at the end.
I'm okay spoiling that one because nobody can play it anyway.
Yeah.
You
That's what I'm
literally
saying,
can't play the game.
It's impossible, yeah. But I always thought that was a fun twist in that way.
The next comment comes from Aaron Peterson, and I'm going to skip the name just because.
Yeah.
But a certain death in Gears of War 3. It was just a noble but very sad and crazy twist. As someone who doesn't play a game for story, that one got me. That was as a guy that recently replayed through Gears 3, still holds up, still pretty powerful.
And they bring the song full round, right?
Yes.
Yeah. It's a
So
pretty
good.
beautiful moment. You know, the death in Gears 2 still hits harder, but that was less of a twist because I felt like it was pretty obvious it wasn't going to go well.
Yeah. That
when
one
you found that
was
person.
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Both powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. Sam Will Frederick writes in the nuke in Modern Warfare. Also the end of the no Russian mission in Modern Warfare 2. Hell yeah.
Dude, the nuke, the first time I played, was it the original Modern Warfare?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you just didn't expect it for a nuke to actually happen, right? Like, it never happens. You always just thwart it in games.
Right.
Yeah.
Stop
Right?
it, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the fact that thing actually got fired off and then you're running through, I don't feel like that's a spoiler. Everybody, if you want to play Call of Duty, you've played Modern Warfare. It was really, really awesome. I remember watching that and kind of getting a pit in my stomach. Like, this is really happening. And I knew it was a
Right.
video game, but it was kind of like that, what if this really happened kind of thing. It's good. Good. All right, Alyssa, you're up.
Brandon Smith, which I love this comment, by the way. When Toad told me that the princess was in another castle, blew my freaking mind. How you gonna drop a bomb on me like that, Toad? I'm still shaking almost 40 years later.
That's pretty good. There was somebody else in Discord that commented on that too. I apologize. I'm missing who that name is, but it was good. Josh Steinmetz talks about one we mentioned already. Spec Ops: The Line and BioShock are the obvious ones for me. But another big one would be the rug pull at the end of Red Dead Redemption with John at the farm. Dozens of hours spent getting this guy.
Masterfully done.
Masterfully done.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah. I had to stop the comment.
Yeah, that one was less of a twist for me. I feel like that was what the game was telling you subtly the whole time, yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't make the moment any less impactful or sad,
Yeah.
Right.
but it didn't feel twisty to me,
Oh, okay.
personally.
All right. You're up, Zach.
David Michael writes in the big death in the original FF7. It rocked me. I wonder what death that is, man. Nate
No one
Tremitsky.
knows.
It rocked me too when someone spoiled it for me while I was playing the game for the first time.
That
Again,
friend
I
should not
just-
be a friend anymore.
It depends on when you played it. If you played it 2 years ago, I'm sorry. It's just there's just rules in society. You have to be able to talk about some things. You just have to be.
I just know there's some people in our group that have not played it yet and are currently playing it. So
I understand.
Yeah.
But it would. I mean, is saying Frodo drops the ring into Mount Doom a spoiler?
I don't know. I had never read the books before the movies came out.
So if someone told you in the Two Towers, like, oh man, it's crazy when.
I mean, that
Frodo
doesn't
drops
seem
the
like
ring.
that's kind of like where you expect the story to go. That's not really a twist.
Okay, or is that Gollum betrays him? Or yes, I don't know. It just feels silly to me. we have to be allowed to communicate as a people.
I know, but it's also not hard to dance around that one because it was so
I don't know.
impactful, man. That was back before.
Yeah,
You
so
know, Game
impactful
of-
that people talked about it openly for 20 years afterwards.
So angry.
Yeah.
All right, who's up?
I think it's me.
All right, go ahead. Over on Discord.
I have a quick question. Should I say the second half of the first sentence?
Just say the name of the game.
Okay. Mark Szymanski writes Dead Space.
And
No.
then the last sentence, then just go to the last sentence.
I didn't
Oh,
know
boy.
the direction the game was truly going, nor was I confident to believe it once it was revealed.
Yeah. And the fact that they hid a twist in the title cards of each chapter
Yes.
was also really cool.
That's very good. I do want to just clarify. I'm not an asshole, by the way. If I met somebody that was playing FF7 and didn't know, I wouldn't like tell them the twist, just to clarify.
Yeah.
Nor if somebody was watching Empire for the first time, I'd be like, dude, you're going to blow your mind when you find out who Luke's dad is.
Yeah, when I sat down and watched with the Chris Owens, I didn't tell him, but he also knew. Like he knew the line, the infamous line. Like it wasn't a surprise for him.
So it's just, I just don't think we should have to restrict ourselves talking about everything.
Not everything.
It's just a bit much.
What's really cute though is when you watch like people on TikTok that are showing their kids Star Wars for the first time, and their reactions to like, no way, you know what I mean? That's pretty special.
I don't know, man. I can't trust anything on TikTok anymore.
Well, you know, I don't know. The kid would have to be a really great actor to have
That's
that.
fair. That's fair. Yeah.
So, it's me. Thomas Beck says, Unavowed, one of the best twists in a video game I have ever experienced. Completely caught me off guard. I have not played that one, but I know it's a point-and-click adventure. I haven't avoided it, just haven't got around to it. So, next one is another Star Wars one. Zach?
Drew Ross writes in Star Wars KOTOR. Also, the twist in Fallout 4 is really good.
I don't feel like that revealed anything, but
I think it. Yeah, I think knowing there is a mystery about I think that's enough. Actually.
Yeah, that's part of it. Is
yeah.
I did have that one ruined for me.
Yeah, you don't know there is a twist around that topic.
Exactly.
But if you anyway.
Yeah, Fallout 4 had is one of the few times in my gaming career that I actually called a twist well before it happened. I was very proud of it. Do you remember that?
I never played Fallout 4.
I didn't finish playing it.
Oh man,
I have never even started up Fallout 4.
Fallout 4 is really good. I know it gets a lot of flack for the base building stuff, which is completely optional, by the way. That is a solid. If you like Fallout 3, Fallout 4 is a good game. I like Fallout 3 better, but
it came out the same week as Rise of the Tomb Raider, so it just wasn't going to happen.
Yeah. And it's on Game Pass, so you can go play it.
Well, if I'm going to play an old Fallout, it's going to be New Vegas.
Yeah, because that one's more like a Western.
That's what CB said,
speak.
but
yeah.
It just takes place in a desert because it's in New Vegas.
I was thinking
or Las Vegas.
before his input, it was just because it's more developed by the original people. Because they all work at Obsidian now.
Right.
People made Fallout.
All right, Alyssa.
I'm going to have to cut a lot out of this one.
What the hell?
Oh, yeah. I actually did not read this entire comment because he read...
I'll just say before the all caps and then the very last sentence.
Yeah. Because I did not... I actually copied and pasted this comment without reading it.
I purposely did not read that sequence.
Yeah, same here.
CJ Moore writes, that one time Scott went to Australia, but then he showed up back in the States alive. Thought the writers were killing him off for sure. What a twist.
Well, we were going to kill him off, but then we were worried about we were going to get picketed like Arthur Conan Doyle did back when he killed Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, we were worried about that.
Yeah, we didn't want that.
But seriously, BioWare made a great game in 2005 called Jade Empire, which I still replay to this day. Really good story writing in that game.
Yeah, he wrote a whole paragraph that I have not read. I'm assuming Zach has.
I haven't read it either.
I read like the first two sentences and I was like, nope, I still want to play that game because I think it's on backwards compatible on Xbox. And so yeah, I had to skip that one.
Much like KOTOR, it is a twist that I did not see coming.
Oh, yeah?
I think it's pretty great. I mean, Jade Empire in general is great. It's definitely the underrated BioWare game.
Nice. Carmel Bear says, Soma. The entire experience was an existential mind beep. I love that he's actually typed out mind beep. Or maybe I changed that. I don't remember. An existential mind beep that sat with me long after I finished the game. It's one of the few games that made me question life and its purpose. The ending was haunting and truly is a game that everyone needs to play. I will agree with that sentiment. Soma was a great ending. If you've not played it, you should totally check that one out. Good call, Carmel Bear.
Tim Paulin.
Yeah.
Writes, Inside. The ending was one freaky finale. Honorable mention to Everybody's Gone to the Rapture.
I've not played that one. That's a walking simulator I skipped on for some reason.
I did play that one, and I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
Good twist?
Mm-hmm. Both the game and the twist, yeah.
Nice. And last comment, Alyssa.
Fear 74. Final Fantasy X, come on, that has to get a mention.
Unfortunately, I had that one spoiled for me when I was looking up twists to this.
Oh no!
Oh, really?
Some of the listicles that I found like weren't good at not spoiling, giving the spoiler in the title. You know what I mean?
You must have been dreaming to think you wouldn't have this thing spoiled for you.
Yeah, pretty much. So, well, that is this week's topic. Thank you, everybody that wrote in. I really enjoyed doing that, and it made me want to go back and play a lot of these games. It was a fun topic, and thank you guys for contributing. Next week's topic is forgotten consoles. I don't know how much feedback we're going to get from people on this one. This is definitely a CB topic. He actually asked me to switch this one so that he could be on the show for this one, but I feel like this will be more of an educational topic from him about consoles that we are not familiar with or have forgotten over the years. So stay tuned on the socials for that one. But that's going to do it for this episode of The Gaming Outsider. Thank you so much for listening. The episode was produced by Kevin Honigford. All the music you hear is written and performed by Grant Henry of Stemmage and the Metroid Metal Music. His website is stemmagemusic.com. Please be sure to email us if you have any questions or concerns. Our address is feedback@thegamingoutsider.com. Zack, Alyssa, I cannot express how good it feels to be back talking to you guys. It has been an awesome time. I'm just illicitly happy right now. I really needed this. So
we love you. We love you too.
Aww.
Yes, we do.
Zach, do you have any parting words or recommendations before we get out of here?
Yeah, I was a good PlayStation fanboy, and I saw the sneak preview for Gran Turismo.
Oh, yeah. Is it good?
It is pretty good. Yeah,
Wow.
I think
Okay.
I thought the trailers looked great. I wouldn't say it lived up to the trailer hype I had, but it is very good. It the first 20 to 30 minutes borders on insufferable because it's basically a PlayStation commercial.
Oh, yeah.
It's just kids driving Gran Turismo and getting all kinds of awards. And there's going to be little, I can already tell there's going to be little anachronisms that video game fans are going to get annoyed by. Like he gets a message about a tournament on the internet cafe's PlayStation. I'm like, well, he would just get that message at home too. Would they make it seem dramatic? Like he's got to get there before the message goes away and stuff. I'm like, well, why would it? Because that's just like this. We're contacting the last person who used this Gran Turismo sheet. I'm like, that's not how that works. But
Yeah.
I'm sure there are Gran Turismo sim machines, and I'm sure you can log in with your PlayStation ID. It's just you would also get the email. It's not like
wouldn't you log in with your account? Is it
So I'm saying when they send you the message, you would be aware of it. It was just funny things like that. But once the actual movie gets going into the actual Gran Turismo Academy and David Harbour comes into the picture, who is I think this is his finest performance. Honestly, he was really captivating in this role. I would say he's the heart of the movie, honestly. Nice. But it's just a really good movie. They do a lot of neat things, like when he's racing, where you'll see little PlayStation heads-up displays because that's how he's imagining the race.
Ah, okay.
So it's pretty clever in that way. Like you see his placement on the road; it'll have the same font as a Gran Turismo game. Or he's seeing the racing lines like you would see, when you have drive assist on in the game.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So it was pretty clever in that way. I think it's a really smart way if you absolutely have to make a Gran Turismo movie. I think making it a biopic about Yara Mardenborough was the best way to go.
Nice, dude.
Yan Mardenborough. Sorry.
I will say too. Last week you mentioned Twisted Metal. I have been watching that as well, although I couldn't watch it in Australia because VPN wouldn't let me access it when I'm out of the country.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But yeah, I was going to mention it when I came back, but you already had. So, but from what I've seen of that show, it's shockingly good.
It just gets better.
Yeah.
As they become less interested in making a comedy and more just making a good TV show, it gets better. Yeah.
And Stephanie Beatrice is not. She's pretty easy on the eyes.
Sure, she's also a good actress, but Anthony Mackie's not. But... Yeah, Anthony Mackie's not hard to look at either.
He's a good-looking dude. Yeah. Alyssa, what about you?
Okay, I watched a really wonderful limited series, but it lives up to its name. It's called "This Is Going to Hurt." Every episode hurts. But
is this
well, they did warn you.
Yeah.
What was your question, Scott?
Is this an animated thing?
No, this is live action.
Is this Jackass?
No, it's not.
That's what they should have called that series.
It is based on true events. It's based on a memoir by a former doctor who is now a comedian, Adam Kay, and it's his journey working in the why can I not say it? The ward in the hospital where women have babies. There we go. His time working in that section of the hospital at the NHS, and oh my gosh, just every episode, has dark humor, very dark humor in every episode, and I laughed, but also heartbreaking moments. I'm like, oh, they weren't lying with the title. But Ben Whishaw is such a fantastic actor. He nails every role he's in, and this is no exception. The character is not a likable character per se, but he does have some redeeming qualities, and his character arc, he is a real person in real life, but he does redeem himself along the way. I will say, this show really pushed my limits for how I can handle, I don't want to say gore, because it's a real life surgical procedure, but they show a C-section pretty much every episode, or multiple C-sections, in very graphic detail. I'm like, can I handle this? I did. But
wow.
Yeah, 7 episodes. It is only on AMC Plus in the United States. I think it's available on BBC overseas. But if you can get it through AMC Plus, it's really worth the watch. It's eye-opening, and it blew my mind. It's an absolutely amazing limited series.
Very cool. I got a really weird recommendation, or not weird, but a random recommendation. So while I was in Australia, I went to a brewery, because that's what I do when I visit places. And at this brewery, they had coasters that they would give to people that are coming to the brewery, and they'd write whatever they want to on these coasters, and then they'd tack them up on the wall. So the whole bar is covered with coasters, right? And I was reading through them just because I was sitting there drinking a beer, and I came across one of them and it said, listen to this podcast. And I was like, well, that sounds like something Scott Clark would do.
Yeah.
Like, I just leave something with the Gaming Outsider out there, and I'm, you know what? I'm going to go check it out. And I decided to do so. This podcast is called The Best Butties. Not Buddies, but Butties.
Butty. You're right.
And you know how people complain about people making podcasts where it's just them just sitting around talking, just friends hanging out and talking about whatever.
The Best Butties led me to believe that's what this is. Yeah,
that's what this is, except they actually have a format that I think is an interesting format. Now, I've only listened to one episode so far, just because the very first episode they did happened to be about video games. So, and they recorded it at the end of 2022, and they were talking about their favorite games of the year. But their format is kind of fun. I don't know if you've ever seen what the Hollywood Outsider does with their battle royales or whatever, where everybody picks a favorite whatever they're doing, and they kind of do bracket style. That's what they do on Best Buddies. But there's 4 hosts, and so they each of them had a favorite game from 2022, and they each discuss, the ones that aren't in the bracket discuss which one's going to be a winner, and then the final 2 go head to head. And they all discuss whichever one. But it's just a fun way to do it, I think, especially because the person that wins gets to choose next week's topic. And they were joking about making the loser, put their whatever won tattooed on their arm. So by the end of the series, they would just have random words tattooed on their arm. They didn't actually do it, but
it was funny. An expensive podcast.
I know, right? But it is a UK podcast, and I can just listen to British people talk all the time. And I just thought they just seemed like a bunch of really fun guys. And it was, the first episode was only 40 minutes. And since it was video game related, it was easy for me to jump right in. But I don't know. The reason I'm recommending it more is because, it's a fun show, don't get me wrong, but I just love that they're a UK podcast and somebody in Australia posted this random coaster on the wall. And I'm an American visiting, and so now there's an American list. I don't know. I just thought the way it worked was kind of cool, and I wanted everyone else to check it out just to kind of spread the love, because they seem like a fun group of guys. So
the world came together. I thought you were going to come back and recommend a Cortado or Piccolo.
Oh, I should do that, because, man, Australia has ruined coffee for me, guys. I actually was messaging Zack while I was down there and he recommended this coffee called a Piccolo, which is basically espresso and steamed milk. Is that just what it is, half and half?
Yeah, I think it's just 2 ounces of each, yeah.
A 4-ounce coffee, and it's just great. So good. But All right. Well, that's it, man. It's so good to talk to you guys and girl. It's been way too long. Thanks, everybody out there, for listening. We really do appreciate it. Until next week, I'm Scott Clark with Zack Parkerson and Alyssa White, and we are The Gaming Outsider. And remember, there's no such thing as a bad game, just games that aren't for you.